out of your way. Trying to take up the whole place here.
Good vision like me, I didn't even see it.
Well, I didn't, you able to talk to me. Okay, both of them. Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna put Todd down at. I'll take it. Yeah.
And they have a concierge.
That's great.
It stays that way.
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out. You said, I know you well all the time. Now I see where you get it.
Okay. If I can get everyone's attention, I'm going to call the July 8th, 2021 Town of Stokesdale regular town council meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. And Jim Rigsby is going to lead us in those.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bow our heads. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together tonight, to be as one community, as one town, and as one nation as always. Please know the joy that it brings me to see others struggling with the United States in their heart, and it gives them an opportunity to realize what a great country you have put us in, and for us to be able to assemble and discuss and to even leave in disagreement, but still know we are in the greatest country in the United States, or in the world. Thank you so much for everything you've done. Amen.
Amen. Next item is a resolution declaring the North Carolina State University Wolfpack baseball team as the best team in college baseball for the 2021 season. And Derek Foy is going to make a presentation on that.
Yeah. Good evening, y'all. I think we finally have reached the dog days of summer. We're going to start things off tonight on a little bit of a lighter note before we get to the business of the bustling town of Stokesdale. Before we do that, I want to introduce a gentleman named Cameron Cotter, who's sitting in the back here. Cameron is a junior at NC State University. He's a pitcher. He's fantastic. Before coming to NC State, Cameron, from Summerfield, so one town over, he attended Northern High School. He was named the 2017 to the All-State team by the North Carolina baseball coaches. While at Northern, he was 13-1 with a .69 ERA in 15 starts, helping his team to the 3A state championship. While at Northern, he struck out 118 players while only walking 10. In my younger and slimmer days, Cameron, I was a pitcher. Those are amazing numbers. 118 and 10, that's solid. While at NC State, Cameron's battled through a lot of injuries, but like the Wolfpack spirit, he's persevered and overcome many of those injuries. And it is worth mentioning that Cameron played a big role in NC State's 11-0 win over the Tar Heels a couple years back. So now, after introducing Cameron, anybody that has followed college sports over the years know that the college sports governing body, the NCAA, really is about as consistent and reliable as a slot machine. And we saw that a couple weeks back in their decision to eliminate the NC State Wolfpack from the semifinals from the College World Series in Omaha, Nebraska. So rather than just ranting and raving about that, we've typed out a resolution that'll be much more even keel than my true opinion about it. But all right, This is a resolution declaring the 2021 North Carolina State University Wolfpack baseball team as the country's best college baseball team for the 2021 season. Whereas the town of Stokesdale is home to many alumni and supporters of North Carolina State University. North Carolina State University is the largest public land-grant university in the state of North Carolina. Whereas North Carolina State University receives approximately $520 million in annual allocations from the state of North Carolina using tax revenue collected from our taxpayers. Whereas the 2021 NC State baseball team overcame adversity from starting out 1-8 in the Atlantic Coast Conference competition before finishing off the season strong at 33-9 and earning a berth to the NCAA tournament. Whereas in the NCAA tournament, the NC State baseball team went undefeated in the Ruston, Louisiana Regional before defeating the nation's top-ranked team, the Arkansas Razorbacks in Fayetteville, Arkansas, to advance to the College World Series in Omaha, Nebraska. Whereas the NC State baseball team won their first 2 games in the College World Series to advance to the national semifinals. The NC State baseball team was victorious against the 3 best pitchers in the country in 3 consecutive games as part of their journey to the College World Series. Whereas, due to several student athletes' positive COVID tests, the NCAA eliminated the NC State baseball team for the national semifinals, thus denying the entire team of student athletes their rightfully earned opportunity to compete for a national championship. While simultaneously, the NCAA hosted 22,000 spectators per game at the 2021 College Series, wearing no mask, having no proof of vaccination, no temperature checks for any spectator attending the event during the pandemic. The NCAA showed a lack of consistency in the application of their own protocols, whereas the NCAA attempted to deflect the decision to deny NC State's earned right to contend for a national championship off on the Douglas County, Nebraska Health Department. The Douglas County Health Department came out later one day, on a Sunday, mind you, to in a press release correcting this false accusation. Whereas current North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, current North Carolina United States Senator Tom Tillis, and former North Carolina United States Congressman Mark Walker have all condemned the NCAA for eliminating the NC State baseball team from the College World Series. Whereas Pete Ricketts, the Nebraska governor, which is the host state of this College World Series, the state of Nebraska, publicly stated that the NCAA made a mistake in denying the NC State baseball team their right to compete in the national semifinals. Whereas lastly, we realize the town of Stokesdale recognizes that college athletics, especially the 4 Tobacco Road Atlantic Coast Conference schools of Duke, North Carolina State, and Wake Forest, all play significant cultural and recreational roles in being ingrained in the DNA of many Stokesdale citizens. Now therefore, be it resolved that despite the NCAA's ruling to eliminate NC State from the College World Series, the town of Stokesdale formally recognizes the 2021 North Carolina State Wolfpack baseball team as the nation's best college baseball team for the 2021 season. Congratulations to the student athletes, coaches, and to all of Wolfpack Nation on a remarkable season. That's it. Congratulations on a great team, a great season for you, Cameron, and to your teammates.
Help me out there. Tar. Oh,
Red.
Oh, is that the wrong one? Never mind. That's my fault.
Yeah. I just need you to vote here, Jim. All right, I'm going to make a motion that we pass this resolution as read.
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
All right.
Resolution passed.
And Cameron, we have Mayor will make you a the resolution, a signed copy for you to share with your teammates and your coaching staff. And
Hey, congratulations on that.
You can tell your teammates the greatest small town in America declared you guys the greatest team in America.
Take some math with you so you sure.
And,
Hey, thanks a
and
lot.
the push pin.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Next item on the agenda, review and adopt the agenda. I'd like to add one change immediately after the review of the agenda. We'll get a report from Todd Galton from the Stokesdale Fire Department, and that would be the only change I have. Are there any others?
No, sir.
Then I make a motion, we adopt the agenda with that change.
I'll second.
Have a motion to second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Todd?
What a difference a year makes. Hopefully, we're headed back towards whatever normal is gonna be from here on out. I think any of us know, but we're starting. It's a new day. But it's good to be back, and addressing the town and the folks of the town. Much like you guys, the fire department, we've been very limited over the last 15, 16 months of how we operated as far as letting people in the building. Obviously, we have to be very careful with staff and all, because we are emergency services 24/7. We can't afford to be without our folks. So for us, it's kind of nice too to start having interaction with people coming back to the station. But again, glad to be here with you tonight, give you our report from June. We had a total of 31 fire-related calls and 39 medical-related for 70 calls during the month. And we're in the process of working on our end of year, which was a little surprising given the COVID situation and all, how busy we were, and then counting what calls we missed because of the way that EMS and some of the other agencies that we work with changed responses and stuff. But hopefully next month I'll have all that together and I can give it to y'all. I normally try to do a safety tip, and obviously we're in the dog days of summer now and a lot of grilling going on, a lot of outdoor activities, people with fires in fire pits and stuff. And we just always remind people, treat your grills and stuff the same way you do when you prepare for winter, your kerosene heaters, your alternate heats, your chimneys and all. Make sure you service them, everything's right. Please always make sure you're using the right type of fuel in it, because you will see times, unintentional when people pick up the wrong thing, hook to their grill and all, and that creates a serious issue. So just a reminder, you're outdoors if you have a deck and all, make sure you got plenty of clearance, and take care of yourself and have a good time, enjoy your summer. The last thing I've got is the fire district will be holding this annual meeting this month, Tuesday, July the 27th at 7:30 at the fire station as normal. We were able to have that last year, so we're gonna have it again this year. And the information regarding that is on our webpage. Yes, sir.
Quick question.
Yes.
I'm aware of the new piece of equipment you got for the town. If you would mind just giving them a brief on that.
Yeah,
brand
we
new-
did, excuse me, and it's posted on our Facebook page. In June, we put a new engine into service, 2021 Smil. It's our first out response engine to fires and wrecks. And it replaced a 1997 model that had been serving the citizens of Stokesdale for 24 years. So to say we got our money's worth out of it, we really did. The fortunate thing to that was it was still in good shape. We were able to sell it to another fire department that was in dire need, and it was priced where they could use it. They bought it and are tickled to death to have it. So again, it served our citizens and the people who passed through our fire district well for 24 years.
Yeah.
Todd, the fire department looks good, the building.
That's what
It's-
I'm right across from there, and I was gonna say that. Y'all done a good job.
Yeah, it is, and it's one of those things, and actually Patty and them had some information on it when we first started. Very unfortunate, we had a water issue, and we were very limited on how we could take care of that. And one of the choices that the board had was to remove all the brick. Well, with that building being almost 25 years old, the inherent problem there is if you break brick, where you gonna get like brick to put back on it? So we had an engineering firm that come in and they told us the alternatives and the best routes that we could take. So, same building, same footprint. A lot of folks think we've added on to it, but it's stucco on there now, and it looks really good. They've done a really nice job on it. At first, we all had some reservations because you think stucco 30 years ago, it looked like somebody put their hand in a bucket with stuff and just threw it on the wall. But this is a nice finish, and they actually made it to where it matched the original finish of the building. So
Good deal.
hopefully that project will be wrapped up in about a week, and we'll be back to normal again.
Good deal. Thank you,
All
Todd.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, review and approve the minutes from the May 6th budget meeting. Everyone has a copy of that. Does anyone want to have any comments or corrections to that? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve it without reading.
I'll make a motion that we approve the May 6, 2021 minutes without reading as written.
And that's Jimmy Lander. Just for helping Dale, if she gets used to her voice, everybody recognize who they are when you make a
Okay,
motion.
all right.
I'll second that, John Flint. Any discussion? Call a question. Jim Rigsby?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
And I. Next item on the agenda, board and administrative reports. Dale? Give you some time.
This afternoon, Priscilla contacted the Stokesdale Heating and Air. Again, it's a little stuffy in the room tonight. Our new system has been ordered, but they do not have a projected date for delivery yet. You can check on that. Sent you all an email. I've been working with Piedmont Discovery on a marketing campaign to market all of the parks and walking trails in Guilford County. And they've asked us to participate. We gave them information about the parks here. And you all have been invited on July 26th to an introduction presentation. So if you all, any of you would like to attend, let me or Priscilla know. We'll be hearing a lot more about that as they launch the product. Priscilla processed 68 811 requests. 10 meters have been sold this month. 3 backflow permits have been sold, and 26 new water applications were processed. You all know we were advertising for a clerk. That was advertised on the North Carolina Clerk's listserv, Indeed, and with the Northwest Observer. And as of this afternoon, we had 62 resumes.
Sure.
So we'll be working through those and hopefully have something on that later. And that's all.
Any questions for her?
I do have a question. Any update on our the electric company getting out here to replace those lights that we talked about last month? I know they said they were behind, but,
I'm sorry, Priscilla hasn't updated me on that, so I don't know if she
Okay.
talked to them this week.
but they haven't been out then?
No, they have not.
Okay.
Planning board, any reports from them? Events committee,
No update.
property committee?
None at this time.
Okay. Financials, M. Thacker.
Yep. Okay. We'll start with the general fund first. The Bank of Oak Ridge. We have in our regular money market account, $195,367.59. Our total of CDARS, Bank of Oak Ridge, is $2,587,489.73. Fidelity checking as of June 30th, 2021 is $257,440.65. Petty cash is $150. The accounts receivable for the general fund is $1,661.41. That is what the water will reimburse the general fund for Gary's salary. And then the water reimbursement amount for the overhead is $15,278.80. And just so you know, those numbers may change because we still have some June end-of-year bills that need to come in and need to be paid. On the budget versus actual, these do include the amendments that were approved the last meeting. And as of June 30th, 2021, our total reimbursement from the water is $138,122.40. And that takes care of the the general fund. Does anyone have any questions on the general fund? Okay. The water enterprise account, we have total CDRs for the Bank of Oak Ridge, $498,962.01. And the Fidelity checking account for the water enterprise account is $508,588. The capital reserve fund, $50,007.81. The North Carolina Management Trust, we have $522,482.43. Our savings for the water enterprise with Fidelity is $45,043.46. As of June 30th, our accounts receivable for water, this also includes inactive accounts, is $35,119.58. And the same for the budget versus actual. You'll see the total overhead reimbursement for the general fund is $138,122.40. And we are in compliance as far as the budget versus actual on both general and water per categories. Any questions on the water account?
Can I ask one question about general, please?
Yes.
Pride of the Morning, is that a deposit or a check we wrote?
Where are you at?
It's on the general fund, second at the bottom,
Two?
page at the bottom. Pride of the Morning, what is that for?
That's supplies, where the town hall gets some of their supplies from.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they did anything other than food, I didn't know.
No, they do supplies as well. That's where Priscilla's and they've been ordering some of their supplies.
Okay.
Like the toiletries.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yes, those things, yes.
Just couldn't figure it out. I knew they did eggs and produce. I just trying to figure
Do
out
toilet paper too.
what our need was there.
Some straws.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Any more questions to Kim? Thank you. Next item, citizens' comments from the floor. 3-minute limit. Anyone wishes to speak on a non-agenda item, if they will, come to the podium, give you your name and address.
My name is Mike Crawford. I live at 8203 Messenger Court. I am currently the president of the HOA for Angels Glen. I've had a resident that has approached me about a problem that they are having on what is now Barbello Drive. What's happened over the years as this Eastwood development has grown, they are using Barbello as a cut-through to get out of their community. And the only reason I can think that that might be is because Adano has never been paved. The original developer, Kevin Combs, offered to develop it, offered to pave it with what Angel Purdue is paved with, which is just simply tar and gravel. The state, in their infant wisdom, decided that wasn't good enough. And quite frankly, Kevin wasn't willing to go to the expense to bring it up to what their standard is. The problem actually is that there are several families on Barbello who have small children. Well, we need you, the town of Stokesdale, to help get the state of North Carolina to pave Adano. Don't know how you can do it, don't know what you need to do, but we know that it does definitely need to be done. That's pretty much it.
Okay. We can talk to the district engineer and express your concerns and get him to come out and take a look at it. Typically, what they require is 2 houses per 1/10 of a mile on the road itself. I'm not sure, that's probably 1/3 of a mile or something. It's not a long stretch of road, but we will have a conversation with the district engineer for DOT and see what we can do to help you.
I greatly appreciate that. What we've faced in the past is we are so far down on the list to have that paved, it's unbelievable. I mean, at this time and this age, it's just ridiculous that they're not doing something about it.
Yeah, and there's not that many unpaved roads in Guilford County.
Exactly.
I mean, there's, 10 or 20, I have no idea, but, and the other thing I guess we could do is, if the state can't help us, we could talk to our local legislators and see if they could help us with some funding on that special appropriation.
Excellent.
Let me ask you a quick question, if I may. Is that a non-dedicated road, period? Is it still a private lane or
That was
private
a-
road?
You talking about Adana?
Yeah, it is a state.
It's state.
under
State owns it.
state.
Yeah, the state has it. What we've run into in the past is there is a homeowner or there is a property owner that has created somewhat of a bottleneck, if you will, to having the thing paved, which we as an association have gone to the people that own the property, but at this point in time, we have not been able to we've not been able to make any real headway.
Are they refusing to sign a right-of-way?
I can't say that, John. I don't know that for fact, but again, they are the stumbling block.
Okay.
So so everybody's on the same sheet. It's already state qualified. The state's running it. And all we have to do is talk to them about updating the needed grades and grade works or whatever you're wanting.
Yeah, it's just a
So
matter
we
of,
don't have to go through anything with the state since it's already a dedicated roadway.
my understanding is Angel Purdue is tar and gravel. That's the most primitive, if you will, way of paving. And that would satisfy those of us in the neighborhood if they would just simply permit that. But as I said, the developer originally tried that and they didn't go along with it. So yes, if that could be done, that would be great. But I can't emphasize enough, it's the small kids in that neighborhood who are playing out in their driveway, and without naming names, there seems to be a particular individual who just powers through that road at any number of different times without regard to who's there. The neighbor that approached me has approached the sheriff's office. They've approached the state patrol. And right now, they have no satisfaction.
I think starting with the local engineer will be the way to go, and then we'll branch off from that at this point, law enforcement wise. That would be my thought.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Crowell.
Let me just point out something on the law enforcement end of that. I was looking at it on the map. So if it's not marked with a speed limit sign and that's a DOT issue, then it's going to be 35 since it's inside the city. And oftentimes those short roads, the limit being 35, 50 is kind of the writing the ticket threshold for that. So, while law enforcement would certainly be sensitive to all speeding, sometimes it's just a matter of, can he get up to that kind of speed on that road to dictate a citation or something, versus he may be going 30 and it's dangerous, it's a narrow road, it's gravel. 30 on a gravel road is fast.
Now, this is not a gravel road. This is paved.
Okay.
This is paved. Here's the other part of the problem is even at 25 miles an hour, think about a kid running out of his driveway, even at 25 miles an hour. Now, the neighborhood is posted at 25 miles an hour. I'm not sure there's a speed limit sign on that specific road, although that's something we might be able to approach.
Yeah,
But
that would be where I would start.
even at 25 miles an hour,
But
the
they-
little,
25
about
gives you a
more
little bit more threshold than 35 when it's not marked, is what I'm saying.
I understand.
So try to get it, I would also have in that conversation, it needs to be posted along, consistent with the neighboring roads. That would be something to keep in mind when you're having that conversation with DOT. 'Cause
Okay.
That helps law enforcement have a threshold to hold them accountable to.
okay, we can do that.
Are the roads in Angels Glen dedicated to the state, or are they?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they're state,
I was
they're
gonna say,
state,
could y'all
they're
put
state
a
maintained.
Speed bump on?
Well, that's the other thing. We thought about that. And I have seen speed bumps on state-maintained roads, so, you know, we've thought about that. That could be a possibility to put a couple on that particular one. Barbello is just a straight stretch from Adana to Angels Glen Drive. So for a, you know, young man who's wanting to accelerate, it's probably a pretty good place to do it.
There are plenty of them. I live on 65 and they go by 70 miles an hour
Yeah,
instead of 30.
imagine that. Good thing I never did that.
We'll see what we do.
While we're discussing it, well, it's during citizens' comments, I might talk about it later in parting comments.
Okay.
Because I do have a question about it.
Jim, I guess this may come back to you. Continued discussion of employee benefits. I know we've got 3 resolutions tonight about the joining the state retirement. Or you
Yeah,
have something separate and apart from that?
The resolutions are part of the process, and then obviously, once the resolutions pass, we have to submit all that package to the treasurer's office, the retirement system, and they have to basically vote on us to join, and then once it happens, then we'll be in a better position to start moving forward.
Okay.
So we're in the process for sure.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, appeal of the decision of the planning board meeting, June 24th, 2021. Major subdivision case 21-05-STPL-04404, Coldwater Terrace, Phase 1. Oliver, I'll let you let Oliver make whatever comments he has first, and then we'll call on you, Mr. Troltz.
My name is Oliver Bass, Guilford County Planning Department. This is a major subdivision case located at the Forsyth County line on Coldwater Road, approximately 1,240 feet north of US 158 intersection, Guilford County Tax Parcel 229722. The overall subdivision shows 56 single-family lots, common area, and dedication of a new public street. Stokesdale portion of the subdivision includes approximately 9 acres of common area and new street right-of-way. The zoning of the property is RS 40. I'm reading from the staff report.
Sure.
The staff recommends, and based on comments from the technical review committee that is contained in the packet dated June 2nd, 2021. Staff recommends conditional approval. The Guilford County Technical Review Committee reviewed this proposed subdivisions for compliance with the Stokesdale development regulations. The TRC staff voted to recommend conditional approval subject to the comments listed in the attached TRC review letter dated June 2nd, 2021.
Okay.
Let me ask you a quick question. If TRC, did they have anything other or over and above what their comments were that you brought to us?
Basically, all their comments were contained in this TRC review letter.
So it was all positive at that point in time?
Well, there are some comments that need to be addressed, but it felt like it could be addressed through a conditional approval.
Okay.
Oliver, I have a question for either you or Tom Medlin, and doesn't matter which one answers this. About 95% of this property is in Forsyth County. And it's my understanding that Forsyth County Planning Board and the Forsyth County Commissioners approved the zoning and the site plan approval. All but a small sliver of the 56 lots in this are in Forsyth County. Basic reason they came to us was because they needed the rezoning to get the entrance off of Coldwater Drive. Since the property is most of it, all the basic lots are in Forsyth County, and they approved it, why are we reviewing this and having to vote on it?
But this case was presented to the planning board at their last at their June meeting, and the planning board voted to deny the application based on the.
Oh, I understand that, but why
Yes.
did we even have them review the site plan if it had been approved by Forsyth County for both zoning and the site plan, and the properties technically for those 56 lots is in Forsyth County? Looks
Yeah.
like they would have the jurisdiction, not us.
Yes, but they have, that's common area and it's public right-of-way that's in Stokesdale County, and that has to go through the subdivision process as well.
Yeah, but if they conformed with the rules of Forsyth County in terms of the number of lots and their street connectivity requirements, and the number of lots is a complicated formula. I've been a developer for 40 years, and I can read it, and I couldn't even begin to interpret how to do that. You'd have to be an engineer. But I don't understand why we're reviewing this. I mean, you know, we could approve the site plan for the road or, you know, the common areas or something like that, but why are we reviewing the site plan for those 56 lots?
Basically, that's what we're looking at. We're looking only at the portion that's in Stokesdale, the common area and the road.
So the number of lots is a moot issue.
Well, staff, because the 56 lots were in the town of, in Forsyth County, staff was on the opinion that it was subject to review and approval by the Forsyth County planning. That portion wasn't according to their standards.
So can we, I guess, just vote on what you're saying, the entrance off of Coldwater, the access road, and the common areas?
That's all you'll be approving on your vote. That's
On
the
the
only
site
thing
plan.
you would be approving. That portion that's on the site plan, that's the portion you'll be reviewing.
I'm lost in terms of, our planning board made a recommendation based on the fact that there was 56 lots, and our ordinance says you have to have a secondary entrance for more than 50. If the property's in Forsyth County, they rule, and they didn't have a problem with it, it met their criteria, then how can we possibly turn it down? We have no jurisdiction over Forsyth County's rules and regulations and ordinances. We can approve this entrance, but to me, we have no no dog in the hunt on this 56 lot question.
Mr. Mayor, you've asked
Help me out.
of two people, so this is Tom Medlin. So the question of jurisdiction, you've got split jurisdiction here, okay? You've got part of the land and part of the development in Stokesdale. And then you've got part of the development in Forsyth County. Therefore, the development ordinances that are applicable will be those from both jurisdictions. There's a statute which allows one jurisdiction, the two jurisdictions, to come together and agree and say, we're gonna let Forsyth have total control over this. And that could have been done early on, but it wasn't. So you've got two development ordinances that you've got to apply to these two situations. Forsyth will govern what's in Forsyth County, and Stokesdale will govern what's in Stokesdale.
Okay.
So the reason it's before you is because it's a major subdivision under Stokesdale's development ordinance. That requires preliminary plat approval by the planning board. Planning board has final say-so on that. They reviewed it, and they said that there's a development standard that says no single entrance to a new residential subdivision shall serve more than 50 lots or 500 trips per day. And their interpretation was that regardless of where the lots are, you're looking at the entrance, this whole subdivision development part, it comes under the streets and roads section of that. And they said, looking at that street, it's gonna serve more than 50 lots and potentially more if there's additional development because of a stub. So that was appealed. Therefore, on appeal, the council makes the final decision. So you're gonna review this just as the planning board did, and your decision will be the final decision. Okay. So that's how it got here. I asked Mr. Bass earlier today, and I think it's important to put in the record, and I think he's alluded to it already, whether or not the technical review committee and the planning staff, Mr. Oliver himself, did they consider that requirement when they were looking at this plat? And my understanding, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but my understanding was that what he said was tonight, their interpretation was that because all the lots were in Forsyth County, that they just looked at what was in Stokesdale and they did not deem that to apply to the property that was in Stokesdale. So therefore, it was not part of their conditions in their thing. Is that correct, Oliver?
Yes, that's correct. It just felt like it's subject to their development standards. Of course, the planning board is the final decision maker, and TRC just provides a recommendation.
Right.
So based on their interpretation, they read it to be relevant to the approval.
And I saw where Bobby Norris, the district or division engineer for Guilford County, had no comment when it went to technical review. I guess my question is, if you've got multiple jurisdictions and their ordinance is a little different than ours on how they interpret that, it looks like theirs would at least control in the Forsyth County section. And if it were in Guilford County, if they had 56 lots in Guilford County, we could address it. But it doesn't seem like a legitimate legal process if the county where the lots are in is given a blanket approval, and now we're contradicting that approval.
Well, you're not contradicting the actions of Forsyth County with regard to property in Forsyth. You are simply ruling on actions with regard to property in the town of Stokesdale.
The entrance, i.e.
So you're saying the 56 lots doesn't matter?
No. What I'm saying is that your decision is of a plat, and the portion of that plat that is in Stokesdale. Now, what you've got to decide, based on what the planning board looked at, was does this development, this subdivision standard of no single entrance serving more than 50 lots, is that applicable to that portion that's in the town of Stokesdale?
What do you think? You're the attorney.
That's not my decision to make. That's your decision.
Well, give me a legal opinion.
We have the right to make that decision
I
whichever
can't-
way.
I
Well, I understand, but I'm just saying, that's why we're paying you.
It's your decision whether that applies to that map. If you look at that map, does that section apply to that map or not? Or do you take the position that you just, all you're
Well,
looking,
I've-
what
I've-
you're looking at
I've looked-
doesn't
I've
apply,
looked all
doesn't
over this thing.
have anything to do with the 50 lots. So, I mean, you would either agree with the position taken by your planning staff, or you're gonna agree with the position taken by your planning board, because they're two different positions.
That's kind of a black and white approach. Just with everything, there's gray area. Our development ordinance does recognize that, if you run things, sometimes you can't run things exactly by the book, but there's a process for that. And in the subdivision process, that's a waiver. right? So.
Well, yeah, and the application of subdivision standards, if y'all deem that that standard applies, then they would have the right to ask for a waiver based on grounds. And, they've got, in their presentation, they've got reasons as to, a lot of things as to why they can't get another access right now. And so they could be approved through a waiver process.
Let me ask a quick question, if I
Of course,
may.
oh wait, and one other thing, there are a couple other, there are different ways. They could also change their subdivision to only have 50 lots. And then it would also meet. So you've got other ways to try to solve the problem, but the first step you've got to decide is whether or not that is applicable to the portion of the plat that's in Stokesdale.
With that being said, Mr. Bass, unfortunately, I just had eye surgery, and this is about that big on there. If you would tell from the entrance to the precise amount of property ongoing in there, how far we have boots
Right
on the
here,
ground.
here's the county line.
Yeah, but I'm saying right here, we're talking about here. We're talking about right here.
You're probably
Right there.
talking 300 feet.
Well, that's what I'm asking. What's the distance of property from our town that goes back to the official Forsyth? Is it 50 feet, 100 feet, 200 feet?
From right there to there. You can scale it on. Yeah.
So it's from here, not,
It's right here.
okay. So it's there forward. And there'll be no houses there, right? That's just going across.
Yeah, it's about
Okay.
380, 179.
But there are no homes on that.
There are no homes on these. There will be a lot in phase 2. That's in
That's
Stokesdale.
all for, but that'll be adjudicated.
That'll be like 28.
Mr. Bass, the 50 home rule that we have, what is that for the protection of?
Well, that was something that the town put in maybe back in 2006 or 2007. I don't know the history of it. Typically, there's a purpose statement when you adopt those, but I know there was concerns about having so many homes in the area that has only one point of access, and if there's some type of block or something that blocks obstruction in the road, how would those people be able to? Maybe if it's just emergency purposes, how would they be able to exit if there's some block in the road?
So.
Mr. Bass, can
where-
I ask a question? And correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't know Greensboro, but I know for a fact that the city of High Point allows one entrance to at least 100. Because I know of a development that was built in '05 that only has one entrance and exit. And they have 100 houses in it in High Point.
Well, certainly each jurisdictions can set their own policy based on
I was
the
gonna say.
concern, with desires of the,
So it's not consistent across the,
I think density
board.
plays a role into it. And
yes.
what's Guilford County's?
Well, Guilford County, as of November of 2020, they allow up to 30 lots,
30.
up to 30 lots without a second entrance, unless there's a sprinkler system that's provide that available to service the subdivision. And then I think there is a limit, but I can't recall exactly what that limit is, but it's more than 56. But there has to be some type of sprinkler.
The 30 was the new legislative allowance, correct?
But that was adopted by the Guilford County.
Okay.
Okay.
One other thing too, just to follow up on this same point, I called over to Forsyth County Planning Department today and talked with the individual who's familiar with this, and they indicated that their rule about how many lots on one access point is 30, and that's based on fire access. That they've got to be able to, their fire trucks getting there and everything, they've got to have more than one access point if they're gonna have more than 30 lots. Well, on this subdivision, the stub street that goes up to the north counts as an extra access point for them. So therefore, they get to have more than 30 and they can go up to 60 for Forsyth County. So that's how it got past, that 30 rule because of that stub street being another potential access point.
Well, the stub street just goes into a field.
Right, but as far as their rules are concerned, it counts as another access point. They can get an easement across that field from another road and get in and out of there if they had to or whatever else. They could get, or if it ever gets developed, then it would be required to connect.
Yeah, it's in my
at that time
understanding,
as
yeah.
well.
Well,
If that's my understanding, if it allows the road to be extended in the event, and they can require the adjacent parcel on, in the case they're trying to develop a subdivision, they can require, become part of the requirement of the subdivision, my understanding of it,
But
from my
that's all for
understanding.
site though.
But that's all in
They're
for site.
on their backside versus our
Correct.
front.
and I can understand our concerns about EMT and fire, but I look at it on a bigger picture. Take Angel Purdue Road, like if we had a gas truck that blocked the road, everybody in Angels Glen, and I know there's more than 50 houses there, would be affected. Take Prince Edwards Road, that road ends, a mile and a half down the end of the road. We got 5 or 6 major subdivisions in there. We probably got 150 houses going in there. So to me, it's a cumulative effect. If we're going to enforce the 50 lots on one subdivision, then are you going to do the same thing if you only have one entrance to the main entrance road?
So why don't we have a ordinance then? Why don't we just get rid of the ordinance?
Maybe we need to adjust that, but I mean, that's just a concern I've got. It'd be great if we had an entrance for every 30 houses, but this particular tract of land butts into Blues Lake. You can't extend a road into the water. Duke Power owns property on 2 or 3 sides. There's only one possible access property owner. They can't force that man to give them the road, and that would have to go all the way up from his development up to 65, which would probably be a mile.
Well,
So, I mean, I think it's a hardship. I don't see any fees, and where he's crossing is a fairly significant stream. You got wetlands, you've got all kinds of environmental issues to put that second entrance. Is it gonna do any good if you only probably have, and I have no idea the road frontage, let's say 600 or 700 feet of road frontage, to have a secondary entrance is,
John, you just described the reasons to approve a waiver to allow 56 homes, which I would like to do and let this man do his business. But the concern is that there is the Scales property north of that.
Right.
And, maybe it's developed, maybe it's not. But I think that there is a reasonable likelihood that it could be developed. And, the concern would be, what if you tacked on 30 or 40 homes to this single
well,
entrance?
Forsyth County in their review said that if they extended that road, they would have to go up, I can't think of the 2 roads, and connect back into 65.
Okay,
Up
so that's written?
Plunkett Road and, Plunkett Road, up to 65.
The developer
Mr.
really
Holtz
should have,
can
Mr.
develop
Holtz,
that.
can I ask you a question? We're probably speaking during your time, but, I mean, if you do purchase that land north of you, the Scales property, is your intent to have another exit or entrance, or would you have to?
My name is Paul Holston with Coldwater Development. I spoke to Gary Roberts and David Reed in the planning department. I'm not sure who Mr. Medlin spoke to, but we did it by email so that I would have a record of it, and it's included in the package. And what they said was, anybody comes in to develop the Scales property is going to be required to connect to our stub street, which is Boathouse Way, and hook it up probably to Plunkett Road, which already comes directly from 65 down into the property. It's one of the exhibits that's in the package that I tried to circulate. I have more here if you'd like to see it.
John gave me his.
It's page 6, I think.
And that's from Forsyth County Planning. Okay. Any more questions before we start the public portion? Mr. Holtz, I'll let you start.
Wait,
I'm going to.
Mr. Bass, were you finished?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Are you finished?
I would like to add, so as an appeal of the planning board decision, what you'll be considering tonight, you can either make a decision to approve, you can make a decision to conditionally approve or deny, or you can make a motion to revise and have them resubmit the plans, and maybe that'll give them time to submit a request for a waiver, or if they need one, or present some other alternative plan that would satisfy the requirements. So those are the options you have in making your decision tonight.
Mr. Bass, if the TRC or yourself thought that this was going against the ordinance, y'all wouldn't have recommended it, would you?
Correct, yeah. But our interpretation was that, you know, being in Guilford, being in Forsyth County, they will make that decision, and they do have connectivity requirements within their ordinance. But the planning board, their interpretation was that because it was serving that, because those 56 slots would be serving that entrance that enters onto Coldwater Road, then that would apply in this situation.
Okay.
Quick question. Oh,
No, go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah.
Legal question. What responsibility does the town of Stokesdale have from that line to the Forsyth line about that development?
Your responsibility when you're presented with a major subdivision plat is to review that plat within the jurisdiction of the town of Stokesdale and within the development ordinance that you have to apply to that. That's your responsibility.
Okay, with that being said, as I see this on this map, there is no real estate with houses on it in the town of Stokesdale. Is that not correct? Or is there gonna be one?
Just one.
Okay, there's one house there.
Yeah, from
And that
what I,
meets-
and I mean, the plat speaks for itself, but my recollection of that is that it shows a road that comes in off Coldwater, it shows common areas, and then on the southwest corner of the portion in Stokesdale, I believe there's about, 80% of a lot that in a future development that's gonna be there.
The house in that lot will more likely be in the town.
Yeah, most likely. So you
That one
have
house.
about one house
That's
that would
all.
actually be in Stoke.
That's it.
But you're gonna have a portion of two lots.
Yeah. But I'm basically wanting to feel comfortable for the people listening, the people watching, and the end of this meeting of our responsibility for basically, and I'll just say it, for dirt that hadn't been developed and may have one corner of a house that's on our county and our town. And the rest of it is gonna be, if it's built and it keeps going, it's gonna be totally in Forsyth's responsibility from every level that we would have it in Guilford's responsibility.
It's not gonna be a responsibility, it's gonna be jurisdiction.
Well, that's part of,
They're gonna
that's
get
what
their
I'm
building
saying.
permits and everything else from, Forsyth County.
That's what I'm saying, the responsibility of Forsyth is to go forward on their side of our line and do what needs to be done. Is that correct, Tom?
Okay, let's, Oliver, you through, Mr. Holtz?
Let's have the public hearing.
Yes, what I'm trying.
Then we'll go at it.
Given the very robust discussion, I think I'm going to abbreviate what I was going to say, if that makes sense. One thing the key point that I would like to make is that this property from the outset, we've envisioned doing a really first-class community. It's Lakeview property. It's not lakefront necessarily because of the Duke property that surrounds it. It does have some peculiar challenges with regard to trying to get a street out. The one street that we were able to get out is crossing a major stream, and we put in a culvert. But we intend to do just a beautiful community. We have planned blackboard fencing along our Coldwater frontage. We've got an authentic stone bridge planned for the entry. There's a trail system and significant common areas. There's play fields. And I think this is a community that we're all going to be very proud of. I'm proud to be associated with it. We got to where we are and where we are today with 15 different permits and approvals, given all the different jurisdictions and the environmental challenges. We closed on the property at the end of March. We began development in April, and now we're almost 3 months into it. We've completed the off-site water main run up Coldwater Road from 158, and it's now stubbed into the property. We've completed all the storm drain improvements. This is all per permits in the approved site plan. There's nothing that has really changed since this group looked at the rezoning application back in December. And the planning board had previously looked at that, had a pretty good discussion, as I recall, about the access issue, and they approved it 4-1. This body approved it 5-0. There's no opposition at any of the hearings. Same thing happened over in Forsyth County. We're way down the road with development on this. We have 15 contracts, firm contracts from people who want to live in this community, and those are scheduled to close after we get the paving of the streets in the first phase done and the plat recorded. That's scheduled for August. That's how far down the road we are. With all due respect, I feel like the time to have this discussion and finalize it was when we proposed the land use change. The sole reason we came in for the rezoning in Stokesdale was because it tripped the major subdivision requirement that can't go in an AG zone property. We didn't add any lots. We can't add any lots down there. We're getting ready, as a part of this plat, we're going to be dedicating most of what's in the town of Stokesdale as common area to the HOA. It'll have play fields and trails, as I was saying. The other part that, and this is maybe a technicality, but I would point it out, this plat only shows 28 lots. Now, eventually, we do plan 56. That would be phase 2. But I'm a little stumped as to how that provision of the ordinance can be invoked about exceeding 50 when there's only 28 on this particular plat. The prospect of trimming 6 lots at this point is would be very, very harmful to us and our plans. I would offer one other consideration, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions. The entryway that we propose, as I said, we're doing a stone bridge. That means we're putting head walls on either end of that entry. And what it serves to do is double the width of the access. We are only required and only plan to put a 20-foot paved street across that stream, but because of the stone, the head walls that we want, as our entry monument, the effective width of that, and it'll be compacted fill, it'll be shoulders out to the head walls. The effective width will be double what a normal entry would be. And that wasn't intentional. That's a response. NCDOT required that extra width to get the walls away from traffic. But the effect of it is that it increases this. And that kind of sums it up. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
There's only 28 lots
On that plat, on this first phase plat.
And that's, Mr. Bass, is that what we're approving? It's just the plat? I mean, we're just approving the Stokesdale part, but y'all just presented 28 lots?
Phase 1, they're doing it.
Yeah, but they're just doing.
They're proposing this is phase 1 of a major subdivision with 56 lots.
But that's all in
But
percentage.
we're approving 28 lots.
At this point, you're approving 28 lots on this preliminary plat.
Is that what
So-
planning board saw?
I think all we're approving is the
Did y'all
entrance.
understand that, Mark?
We're not.
That you was doing 28 lots?
Well, they're doing, they're doing 28
No,
lots
there's-
in this phase of the
Yeah,
subdivision.
there will be 56 lots. I'm just, if we're going to rely on a technical requirement that you can't exceed 50, well, we're not exceeding 50 with this plat.
What will happen, okay, So they'll have to do another plat and have it approved, is that what you're saying?
It's a Phase 2 plat that will come behind this with the other 28 lots.
But really, we shouldn't even be talking about this.
But that won't come back before you.
That'll be all for size.
I understand,
That'll be
but what I'm saying
right?
is,
Yeah.
this is 28 lots.
Yeah,
So technically,
we're in.
we wouldn't even be, as far as our ordinance, see, that was one of my concerns, was the ordinance. But if we're technically looking at 28 lots.
I think technically all we're looking at is the Guilford County piece,
That's right.
the entryway.
Yeah, but I'm just
That's
saying,
it.
even, let's just say we were looking at this.
Yeah.
We wouldn't, we could, I don't see how we could use the 50. Now, they come back, if it came back to us and they put the other lots on there, I can see, well, then they're going over the 50, but they're not even going over the 50 right now.
That's another area.
Okay,
I mean, let's get this out. Let's make sure let's know where, I mean, is that right? Am I correct in what I'm thinking?
that's what they saw at planning board, and that's what they denied. Now, as
Well, that's-
Mr. Holtz made the point, that was for only 28 lots. Our ordinance says 50. You can't anticipate what the man can do. He
I'm
could
not
go
trying
bankrupt
to.
tomorrow.
I'm just saying,
and
I'm
end
sitting
up with
here
28.
looking at this with
I
all those
understand.
lots.
I'm just saying, there's no certainty he's gonna come in with phase two. Yeah, I mean, you're 99.9%, but something could happen. But again, it's a moot point. That's.
We're not looking at
Same
phase
thing.
two is what I'm trying to say,
Yeah,
to start with.
he's understanding that, as I am
And,
now.
and once again, you don't understand what I'm saying.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir. In favor of the appeal? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to it? I believe, Mark Nadell, you wanted to speak?
My name is Mark Nadell, 8211 Wendy Gale Drive, and I'm on the planning board. Just to kind of address Jimmy's point, and then I'll make the statement I want to make. This was presented as it was written to us, or given to us, as 56 lots. So there was really no discussion as to phase one, phase two, 28 lots, 20 lots, whatever it was. So that's not the way it was presented. So the decision was based on the official paperwork that was given to us. That's how that came about.
Do we have a copy, or do you
We're-
have a copy of that showing that it was only 56? There was
Oh, I don't have it with me.
no other variances in there?
Yeah, I don't have that with me.
Well,
Joe will show it to
They
you.
got the same thing we did. Right here it is.
So today is July 2021. January 25th, 1990, a flashback, news flash,
56.
gentlemen. Plane down in Coves Neck, Long Island. Avianca Flight 52 with 158 passengers and crew crashes into high-end district residential area. John McEnroe, all these people live up there, very, very lots of money. Tragic results, 158 people on board, 73 died, 3 flight attendants died, pilot and the co-pilot died. Remaining 80 passengers, including 11 infants, were critically injured, with an additional infant later dying in a local hospital. And if you do a little research on the internet, you'll be able to pick this up. The crash was only accessible to vehicles via a single residential street. There were over 700 police and EMS dispatched, about 55 vehicles, besides all the onlookers. With the surge of rescue personnel who converged on the area, the roads, this is all part of the news report, leading to the site soon became choked with traffic. Emergency vehicle drivers abandoned their vehicles contrary to established policy in the course of the rescue efforts. This prevented other vehicles from being able to access the crash area. The road was so impassable, many workers left their vehicles and had to run miles with their equipment on foot. I ran 2.5 miles that day. The commissioner of EMS stated that due to the lack of access to the local neighborhood, if it would have been better access, many more lives could have been saved. I'm requesting the council support the planning board's decision. We are 14 miles from an airport that is pretty busy, not as busy as JFK, but as you all know, it's developing. That plane crash was 32 miles from the airport on final approach. I get it. You guys talk about being safety and all this stuff. I'm not worried about a tornado coming through and knocking a tree down. I'm concerned, what happens if there's a major development, a major disaster, a tanker truck blows up? Take a look at some of the stories in some of the congested areas. Our town is growing, and I'm really concerned that if there were to be a disaster or some kind of air crash or something else like that, we could end up with a real problem. I don't care if we're building $2 million homes. I'm not against the home building. I'm concerned, and the council, in our discussion, and I'm not speaking for the council, but I was there, and the discussion came up by many of the people about access and safety. Let's think about what's in the best interest of those 28 new homeowners and maybe 56 later and 80 more, or even at 56, okay? If, God forbid, a plane goes down or some major disaster happens, we're going to live with ourselves because we couldn't get emergency vehicles in there. I really would like to see the council support this. I'm all for a waiver. If it costs a little money for the builder, there's a big, big development here. There's big money in these houses. These are not $200,000 homes. Let them come up with another plan, another access route. I'm sure that there's got to be a way to do that. Thank you.
Mark, can you stay up for a minute? I'd like to ask you a question. You know, there are 56 homes. If they, even by our ordinance, if they drop 6 homes, they're in compliance with that one street. And they're not even, I mean, we're not even looking at that. So, I mean, with 6 homes, I mean, I understand you say 2 inches, but they're not gonna do 2 inches. I just about guarantee you that.
Well, Guilford County, I believe, is 30 homes, as that was presented. But, well, maybe our ordinance needs to be reviewed. I'm all for you, and you know that. And maybe, as our town is growing, we need to kind of look at what's in the best interest of the community, not the builders, okay? It's time that this town stops letting the builders take this town hostage. I'm all for development, okay? I'm probably sounding a whole lot different than what you thought I was going to come when I moved in here from New York. You thought I was going to blow this whole place up. I'm concerned about, I've seen this happen over and over again. The ordinance possibly needs to be changed, and maybe we need to go along with 30 homes, okay? I don't know. That's something that we're going to have to decide going forward. I don't know what the magic number is. I'm concerned about access. I live on a dead-end street, but I live off 68. If the fire department can get in, can't get in through my street, they can park and they can run the hoses down off 68. There's always access. And don't think I didn't think about that when I bought my home, to make sure that I would not be cornered somewhere in a spot that I couldn't get help if I needed it.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Nadeau. Were you on the planning board when we approved anything on the back 9?
No, I was not.
Or any of the subdivisions on Eversfield Road or Athens Road?
No.
Because we've got a Pine Needles station down there where they have, what, I don't know, 210 million gallon things of gas. If a plane were to hit in that, there's a burn within, everybody within 2 miles would be instantaneously, and yet we're approving zoning. Now, at one point in time, anybody that did a subdivision within a certain distance to that had to put that on the recorded plat. There's no way that any town can consider every possible option. It's sort of like the deal in Florida now. They supposedly inspected those homes and they failed to respond to it. Things are going to happen. And, you know, if 50's not safe, is 30, is 10? I mean, where do you go? What do you do on a road like Prince Edwards, where you got one major road and 6 subdivisions off of that? If Prince Edwards is blocked at 68, you've probably got 200 houses that are blocked.
And you know what? That's why there's history, because we learn from our mistakes, okay? And I, for one, okay, you're right. I go down Market Street, and you have the airport, and you've got all storage fuel tanks and all that stuff. I mean, would somebody want to buy a house near there? I don't know what the ordinances are, and you're right. But maybe that's something, and that has nothing to do with this case now, but maybe that's something that we need as a town to look at these options, because we are growing, and we're going to grow ourselves into a problem. Getting back to this case, I'm just asking for the board to support
Okay.
our decision, and that's how we came about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak in rebuttal? Mr. Holmes? Okay, the public portion of the hearing is closed, and the matter rests with council.
We're ready to vote. Is that what you're saying?
No, we gotta make a motion, but, you know, the public comments are through.
Can we
Just to
still
get
ask
it
some
on,
questions to Mr. Bass?
You can ask what you want to, can't you? He
Well-
can inquire of Mr. Bass, our planner.
sure.
How was the case presented to the planning board? I mean, was it stated out that it was 28? I mean, I'm looking at one sheet that showed all the homes, just like R can see. But the sheet that's in the packet, is that the sheet that was showed to the planning board? Did they understand that, is what I guess I'm trying to ask.
Well, what was presented to the planning board was phase 1 of Cold Terrace. For informational purposes, we thought it was important to let them know that the overall subdivision contained 56 lots. But they only reviewed phase 1 of the preliminary plat that was presented, that it contained the common area and the right-of-way.
Right.
So that's what they were reviewing. But they based their decision on what was shown to be 56 lots in the overall subdivision.
They based the decision on the overall. I mean, is that proper to do on a?
Well, this is
I mean, I know
phase-
they did everything
yeah.
in good faith. They did a
Yeah.
good job on that. I'm not knocking that whatsoever. I can understand them catching that completely.
Yeah.
But this number of homes, that ordinance doesn't apply yet.
Doesn't apply to just, if it's under 28,
Right.
it doesn't apply.
So if it was to come back, which is not gonna come back to us, but if it was a problem with it and it came back when they did the phase 2, that would be when it would run over the 50. If it was done in Stokesdale.
Yeah, if it was
You know,
done in
let's say
Stokesdale.
this whole thing was done in Stokesdale, which it's not, and you were doing a phase 1 on a site plan. They would be looking at that number of homes, is that correct? Or would you be looking at the total?
If they were entirely in Stokesdale, they would need to present the whole entire subdivision to the town of Stokesdale. They review it.
The plat, the whole plat?
And they'll identify the phases that they're gonna develop it in.
Right.
And that's what our ordinance says.
Right.
Yeah, so if it's entirely in the, in Stokesdale, they would have submitted the whole plat, not just the one phase.
Right.
But the bottom line, I think, and I understand where Jimmy's coming from here, but the bottom line, there's not gonna be but one house in Guilford County / Stokesdale, correct?
It's gonna be one house based on the overall subdivision design. That's be one house.
On that one little street.
Yeah, that
right
one
off
house
the
is in
entrance.
phase 2 of the subdivision.
Okay, with that being said, do we have, and Tom, just tell me yay, nay, or indifferent, do we have fiduciary responsibility if we can only judge what we have within the confines of Guilford County and the town of Stokesdale city limits?
That's what he said.
We can't go about how many Forsyth adjudicates, can we? Making a decision based on that, because we're not gonna have but a half a house in the entire county, much less the town.
Well,
Where what they do at the back end of that road is up to Forsyth County, is the way I see it. We can't.
Forsyth is responsible for applying their development ordinance to their property in their county.
Right.
Stokesdale's responsible for applying your development ordinance to the property in Stokesdale.
Okay.
So right now, we have a half of a house that we would be, if that was the case, that's what we'd be looking at. Is that pretty much what I think I'm seeing?
Yep.
I don't know that you need to ask that question. I think you know, it's in your mind, your way. But I don't know that the house is really the key. The key is the road.
So Forsyth feels like their citizens are protected because they approved it. And that's their citizens. I mean, I care about Forsyth County citizens too, although we don't have any jurisdiction. But I guess they felt so. If they didn't, they wouldn't have approved. Is that?
It met their development ordinance.
Yeah.
And their development standards, their subdivision standards. It met those standards.
PRC here too.
Okay, just to get it on the floor for discussion, I make a motion that we approve the site plan,
For phase one?
phase one as presented.
Second.
We have a motion, John Flynn, and a second by Darren Oaks. Now, any discussion?
I don't know what else to discuss.
I guess I'll have discussion. At the end of the day, well, first I want to start off by saying that I really commend the planning board because I think they did their job exactly like they were, the training says, that they ran it by the book. At the end of the day, I would feel more comfortable, and this is just a technicality, but I would feel more comfortable if we were able to vote in favor of a waiver that was being requested from the developer due to the geography of that land. That way, I wouldn't be voting against our ordinance. But I understand that our ordinance in black and white, you've got to be open to the gray area, and that's where the waivers come into effect. I'm okay with 56 homes. Mr. Holst is, he's proactively addressed the concerns of there won't be any additional homes on this entrance. If further land were to be developed, it would go on that road north. So, 56 homes, sure. There's reason in our ordinance and law to grant a waiver here. I'd imagine Mr. Holst wasn't aware of the waiver process, or the waiver process would have happened at the very beginning of this process, and we may or may not be sitting here tonight having this discussion, because the planning board has the authority to grant a waiver. I guess since we're having discussion, I'm okay with the 56 lots. I think there's valid reason for a waiver, and I would prefer to vote in favor of a waiver instead of voting against an ordinance.
I think he would have to come in with a new request for a waiver. Is that
But,
correct?
yeah, I think that's what Mr. Bass was saying. One of the things you could do would be to render a decision that requires them to revise their plat. So it doesn't make a final decision, they get more time, and then if they wanted to request it, they could. Right, Mr. Bass? That's one of the options that you have if that's your vote.
My issue with this, Forsyth County has their rules and we have our rules. I would appreciate them listening to our concerns and obeying our ordinance. Their ordinance specifically says 30 lots is a maximum. Well, they gave them credit for that entrance, plus they gave them credit for the road he's subbing into the adjacent property owner. So they technically said he could have 60 lots in there according to their ordinance. So why, in my humble position as a member of this council, am I going to try to override the Forsyth County commissioners and the Forsyth County planning board and their staff? The thing that bothers me a lot, Mr. Holtz, when he first came in, he said, here's my, a tentative layout for 56 lots. It's been 56 lots from day one when he started this process a year ago. Why is this just now coming up? It's been to the planning board, it's been to our town planner, it's been to TRC. Why didn't they pick it up? If it was a major issue, it looks like somebody would have said, hey, a year ago, you got to do a second entrance.
Look, it's a valid point. It really is.
Let me answer
I'm under
that.
the understanding when it was a rezoning that came before us in December. And if I'm wrong, please tell me.
It was.
But it wasn't, the piece of paper in front of us with the site plan, wasn't for our consideration at the time, that we were just simply rezoning 10 or 12 or 14 acres. And that's all I was looking at. Now, the number of homes wasn't lost on me. And I personally want to see the town recognize that the black and white letter of our ordinance, given the topographical limitations, if we adopted that would, not be reasonable. And I would like to see a waiver to get them the 56 houses.
And Mr. Mayor, so at the rezoning, what he does with the land's irrelevant.
Understand.
It's RS 40. So everybody understands that. And the second point is, that we ended up with a disagreement between the planning staff and the planning board. Planning staff did not think that provision applied, planning board does think it applies. And that wasn't up front. That just now happened, so that's why we're here.
And in my opinion, obviously, the ordinance itself could be interpreted two ways in this very, very unique situation. But if you just break down the sentence structure, it says no single entrance. So that's, the subject of the sentence, and, goes on to say. So really, the ordinance is about an entrance for the subdivision.
That's what I'm saying. Where is our part of that little wedge?
Well, I mean, I guess in theory, you could have an entrance to a subdivision
With
where
one
the
house or a
where the
home?
homes might be in Wake County, but if the entrance was here,
But Tom made the point that we can only consider the portion of the property in the town of Stokesdale. There are not 50 houses in the town of Stokesdale. There never will be. It's impossible. If you stack them on top of each other, you couldn't get them.
I agree with the mayor. I agree that we're trying to play governance over jurisdiction that is not ours. And everything to the right of that red line right there, we have jurisdiction on, and I don't see but one house on that side. And I also believe that, we've got a situation here unique that has basically put the builder in the middle, and he's done everything he's supposed to do. And the county, with the majority, that's also going to provide the fire response and emergency services response, has said they're okay with it. So I just think we're at an overreach to try to overlay their decision, is my personal opinion.
And we got another case coming up fairly soon, Happy Hill Road, where part of the property's been rezoned and site plan in Forsyth County. Part of it was rezoned and site plan approved in Oak Ridge. And now the only thing we're talking about is, again, the entrance into the property. So I know there's more than 50. I think there's 150 houses on that one. And I don't know, I think they probably have multiple entrances, but I don't know, I haven't seen a plan on that. But anyway.
it's a very unique situation.
It is.
Well, one thing.
I think sometimes the
we're
tie
only
has to
looking
go
at
to the
20
runner,
I mean,
though.
If we're going by what we're looking at, the 50 houses don't even come into play. I mean, we're not looking at the whole thing. We're looking at 28, what'd you say, 28 lots, is that right? 27, 28? So, I mean, I don't feel like if I do that, then I'm going against the planning board. Because I don't feel like they were thinking about 20, I think they thought about the whole thing. And it would have been if it had been in Guilford County, it'd have been completely proper. Well, I'm not saying it was improper. Y'all do a good job.
Okay. Any more discussion? I'll call the question. We have a motion to approve the site plan. Call the question. Mr. Rigsby?
Aye.
Derek?
I'll go aye.
Jimmy? Aye. Darren?
Aye.
And aye.
You got persuaded.
Hey, look, I didn't want to vote against it. I just would rather vote another way or a waiver.
And if we could have done that tonight, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Have to go through a 2-month process.
Well, I don't think it.
I don't think you have any legal right to waive.
That's what I can't see on that. But I understand where it's coming from. I mean,
Okay, next item on the, thanks everyone for their patience on this. That's a tough case.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank y'all. Good luck.
Next item on the agenda, consider an adoption of a resolution setting the candidate filing fee for the November 2nd election. And Guilford County occasionally, and I don't know how often, requires us to actually adopt a resolution setting our fees. They've been at $5 as long as I can remember, and that's what we had proposed. So there's a resolution and a file number, resolution number R 2021-06, Town of Stokesdale. Whereas the North Carolina General Statute set a minimum filing fee of $5 for candidates seeking public office. Whereas a municipal election is scheduled to be conducted by the municipality of Stokesdale, North Carolina, and Guilford County on Tuesday, November 2nd, 2021. The purpose of this election is to elect one mayoral seat, and one council member to serve on the Stokesdale Council for a 4-year term, and now therefore it be resolved that the Town Council of Stokesdale, North Carolina hereby establish a filing fee of $5 for the 2021 municipal election. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution will be filed with the Guilford County Board of Elections within 10 days. I make a motion that we adopt this resolution.
Second.
Any questions?
Yeah, we might have to pay people to.
I call the question. Jim?
Jim Rigsby's aye.
Derek?
Derek's aye.
Jimmy?
Jimmy, aye.
Darren? Aye. Dan? Aye. Next item on the agenda, consider a resolution and application to enroll in the North Carolina Local Government Employees Retirement System. Jim, you want to talk about this, or Dale? But basically, this is one of 3 resolutions we've got to pass and send in, asking the North Carolina, let's see, I forgot who the North Carolina Local Government Employees Retirement System to allow us to be become a member, and they will consider it and then vote on it and send us a resolution back or certification back saying they've adopted it.
If I can speak, and I'll let Dale, because she's
Okay.
certainly doing the legwork. Couple of things of note is that she informed me of is, once we as a town enter into the system, we're pretty much in there. We can't, all employees have to join it, future employees have to join it, that kind of stuff. So it's not something that we can easily back out of. So just want to let everybody know that. I'm not trying to. Going forward, the reason that we've had these discussions, and Dale and I've kind of taken Dale's advice, even though I'm a firm believer in the retirement system and the stability that it brings to the town, and keeps us from having to have a fiduciary program in place on our own. We all we've got to do is basically send the check in, and everything's handled, and they handle it for the rest of our lives. And I think it's a great thing to have in this state. The type of candidate that we've all discussed that we wanted, and that was somebody with some town experience, someone that's going to be here for a while. And Dale can speak on this more than I can, but that's going to be a person that's probably already in the system, that's already worked out of town or government, and they're going to want to be in the system so they can continue their retirement. And I think this is just a necessary step that we need to take if we want to continue to attract good quality employees. And I use Dale as a prime example. Dale has tons of experience she has brought to us, and really stepped our game up, if you would, as far as some of the rules and regulations that we weren't aware of necessarily, because none of us are full-time doing this. And so if we want to hire somebody similar to Dale's acumen, then we're going to have to be in the system. We're going to have to be a part of the big system of North Carolina government and municipalities, and I think this is a necessary step to get us there.
What kind of money are we looking at on this? Is there a
It's 11%, I believe it's 11%
11.35.
per salary per employee that we have
our
to pay.
contribution from the
Yes.
town?
So it's just full-time, so if you assume
Right.
50,000 for a clerk, and we're looking, if it happened this year,
40, we do 10
about
or-
$10,000.
Yeah, 10 bucks.
So, do they still take Social Security and Medicare and all that out?
Yes. So they still collect Social Security, they still pay into Social Security like normal. The employee will pay 6% of their salary also into the system. And couple things. Let's say you have an employee that comes in and they stay 4 years and they leave, they can get their 6% back without interest. I think they have to be in there and be vested. I think it's 10 years, 5 years now, so to get the interest part. But they never lose their money. Anything that the employee pays into the system, they get. And I just went through my retirement conference, so I can speak on this. So even when you pass away, let's say you stay and you retire and you draw one check, your family is still guaranteed all of your contributions back. So it's a really it's a forced savings plan for the employee, but there's no catch you or anything like that in the system. They're not going to lose their money. Even if they work with us for a few years and leave, if they get enough years in, then they can just kind of freeze it and then retire when they turn 55 or 60, whatever the age is now. But I just don't see it to be a negative to anybody that has any kind of career-minded, long-term employment dreams about them with the government and with the state, town of Stokesdale.
Where-
And we already have it, and it's included in the budget for this fiscal
For
year.
this year.
Yep, we've already got
How,
it in there.
how many employees would be eligible? Two.
Two.
Okay. And eligibility requires full-time, a certain number of hours per year, that kind of stuff, right?
I think it's at least 32 hours.
A week, yes.
Right. And just so that the council knows, you've only got two. I guess both have to agree. So the employees have to vote to participate. You gotta have a majority vote.
All two of them.
So
You need 50%
is that in the record? Have both of them voted and want to do that?
Right now, we have
At this point, we
one.
only have one.
The open clerk
My
position.
question, right now, how many do we have that are eligible?
Oh, one.
One,
right now.
okay, and does that person wish to participate?
Yes.
I think Jim did.
Yes,
you
she
know,
is,
that's-
I've asked her twice. I mean,
Okay.
I don't have anything in writing.
That
but-
needs to there
Okay.
needs to be something in
Right.
writing on the record that she has elected to participate.
Okay.
Because as you heard, once you put this in place, they're gonna start deducting 6%.
Yes.
Unless y'all change that will come out of her pay. And then you've got 11 point whatever contribution that you make, so. And then, once it's in place, as you hire new people, they cannot
They cannot
they
opt out.
can opt out, but they have to get permission from the state treasurer or whoever.
I don't believe they can opt out.
I think there's a very limited exception, a way that they can request permission to opt out. But I think it's rarely done. And,
That's correct.
yeah,
Okay.
so it's pretty much mandatory that they're gonna do that,
And I was in.
because
that
it's
for-
needed to support the systems.
Right, I
I
understand.
was in that in the local government through that same process for a number of years, and
Right.
it paid off at the back end nicely.
Yep. Was there anything else, Dale, that needed to come out tonight that I hadn't picked up on?
Just keep in mind that while it's 11.35% now, just like anything else, it is likely to go up a little bit.
Yep.
But just to reiterate what, Mr. Rigsby said, I don't think you'll get anybody with experience that's already in the system
Okay.
without this. They're not gonna leave the system, even if they're vested. They're not gonna leave the system.
Even if they're not
And keep in mind, let me also point out, we do not have, and we all know this, but I'm just gonna say it for the record, we do not have another system here in town. We do not have a 401, we do not have any sort of other retirement, so it's not like we have a better option to offer somebody. I mean, and to me, so we don't have to contract with Prudential or a financial house here in town to provide those benefits that could be passed along for years to come based on the broker changes and stuff. I think this is the most stable, consistent, and option on the books, and I mean, I think it's obviously why every other town in North Carolina is part of it but us.
And
So-
Jim, you can also contact them or either go online and look at their record of holdings and ups and downs over the last 2 or 3 year period. You used to be able to do that for.
Yeah, North Carolina is known as one of the top four
Right.
or five in the country as far as stability. I think right now, I read where we're like 98% funded. What that means is if everybody in the system today retired and nobody else paid another dime in the system, they could pay 98% of what they owe just based on what they have in the bank right now. So, I mean, that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
You know.
I want my other 2%.
So, well, hopefully, you have a couple die off and a couple of interest and a
Few
couple
on
convicted,
Tuesday.
so. But it's very solid. There's no negativity on the state side of this, and I think it's just a step that we have to take as a town to move to that next level of attracting good employees and moving forward.
And just to clarify, this is only available to full-time employees?
Yes.
That's the law?
Yes.
Okay.
One of the parts of this resolution is, it says upon motion of. We'll have to put
That's-
who made the motion and who seconded.
Right, the clerk would fill that in.
Yeah, right. And we have to
See,
actually
whoever,
record the vote.
you need to read the resolution, and then somebody make a motion, somebody seconded, the clerk will fill that in, and then she'll record the vote.
Town of Stokesdale, resolution to enroll in the North Carolina Local Governmental Employees Retirement System. Whereas the 1945 General Assembly and subsequent legislative actions amended the North Carolina Local Governmental Employees Retirement System so as to make the benefits of said system available to all counties, cities, towns, and any separate juristic political subdivision. And whereas the governing body of this unit realizes the necessity of providing its employees with the security and protection provided by a sound retirement plan. And whereas Article 3 of Chapter 128 of the General Statutes of North Carolina provide that any governmental unit desiring to enroll its employees in said system shall make an application to the Board of Trustees of the North Carolina Local Governmental Employees Retirement System and shall by resolution elect to participate in said system pursuant to a favorable vote of a majority of its eligible members. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Town of Stokesdale in regular session that the Town of Stokesdale hereby elects participation of its employees in the North Carolina Local Governmental Employees Retirement System, that the Town of Stokesdale hereby agrees to comply with all provisions of the North Carolina Local Governmental Employees Retirement as defined in Article 3, Chapter 128 of the General Statutes of North Carolina as amended by the 1945 General Assembly, that the Town of Stokesdale is hereby ordered and directed to make application to the Board of Trustees of the North Carolina Local Governmental Employees Retirement System for enrollment of this unit as employees in this said system. Upon motion of whoever by seconded by the above resolution was introduced for passage. The following number voted in the affirmative, the following number voted in the negative.
That's all.
And that's all. And with that, I make a motion to approve the resolution and the remaining paperwork that's involved with that.
Jim Rigsby makes the second.
Any discussion? Because we need to record who votes
See,
for.
the only discussion I would like to add, Mr. Mayor, is Ms. Martin, can you reach back out to the retirement system and see if there's a particular form that we need to document? I'm sure it has to be notarized or something by somebody on the employee, the 50%, make sure that everybody approved it.
Okay.
So we can get that on record and then use the proper form if they need something.
Is this certification, is that it, by chance? Look and check on that.
Okay, we have a motion
Yeah.
and a second. I'm going to call the question to adopt the resolution. Jim Rigsby, I think you voted yes.
Jim Rigsby's yes.
Derek?
Derek is yes.
Jimmy?
Jimmy's yes.
Derek?
Yes.
And I. So it passes 5-1. Next item.
Well, no, he said yes, it's 5.
He just had a man over here.
Yeah.
What'd I say?
I did not vote.
5-1. Hey,
You were thinking about it.
it's been a long night. Next item on the agenda is consideration of a resolution to pick up the employee's contribution payable as members of the North Carolina Local Governmental Employees Retirement System. And this again is a resolution, so I guess I'll read it. Town of Stokesdale, resolution to pick up the employees' contributions payable as members of the North Carolina Local Governmental Employees Retirement System. It's addressed to the North Carolina Local Governmental Employees Retirement System, 3200 Atlantic Avenue, Raleigh, North Carolina, 27604. Whereas the 1981 session, 1982 regular session of the North Carolina General Assembly by a duly ratified bill effective July 1st, 1982, enacted North Carolina General Statutes 12830 BL, a copy of which is attached hereto, which under the conditions specified therein permits an employee participating in the North Carolina Local Employees Retirement System to pick up the contribution payable to this system by its employees who are members of this system. And whereas this employer is an employer participating in the North Carolina Local Governmental Employees Retirement with respect to its eligible employees, and whereas this employer deems it desirable to pick up the contribution payable by its members, its employees as members of the North Carolina Local Governmental Employees Retirement System, Now therefore be it resolved by the Town of Stokesdale in regular session that as of, I guess today's date, July the
July the 8th,
8th,
2021.
2021, the Town of Stokesdale elects pursuant to the provisions of North Carolina General Statute 12-30 BL to pick up and pay to the North Carolina Local Governmental Employees Retirement System the contributions which would be otherwise payable to this by its employees who are members of this system, and to treat in all respects such contributions in the manner specified in said North Carolina General Statutes 128-30 BL. Upon motion by and seconded by the above resolution was introduced and adopted. The number voting in the affirmative was, the number voting in the negative was. And basically, it's just saying we're gonna play the employer's part, the 11.35%.
No,
Actually, no, then I was gonna have that discussion. What that means is that we're going to collect their portion through payroll and send it in.
Okay.
We're not gonna pay their portion, they have to pay their
Okay,
portion.
okay. Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Just for clarification. What it's saying is you're just going to collect just as you would Social Security.
That's correct.
Okay, so you're not paying the employee's contribution.
That is correct.
Right. We're playing the 11.35%. Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Jim Rigsby will second.
Okay, any discussion? I call a question. Jim Rigsby,
Aye.
Derek Foy,
Derek is aye.
Jimmy,
Jimmy's aye.
Darren,
Aye.
and I. So this one passes, same vote.
5-1.
Now one guy just left.
I'm gonna leave for a second, but go ahead, I'll be right back.
Let's take a 5-minute recess.
Didn't count his vote, he's gone.
Now we're
The new
two
AC
votes
unit
now.
couldn't get here soon enough.
Oh, my God.
It's no fun to read stuff like that.
It does get that way. So we got the certifications, good. There's the this, the that. Okay, good, so we're done.
so, clarification. Deduction shall be made out of
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those,
Okay, so it comes out of the members'
tell
compensation.
you what, we got put in the hairy spot on this.
And on top of it, it says this deduction reduces compensation is defined in this. So in other words, for reporting purposes, you still report the full compensation that was paid, even though there was a deduction, which is the way it should be.
Yeah, the same as it would be for like anything pre-tax or anything like, right, correct.
I was sitting there, because I thought, before, just now, I thought, no, this is picking up that 6%, so the employee doesn't have to. But that's.
Another bottle of waters.
Yeah. It's like a pre-tax.
Resolution saying you'll withdraw it, but you won't report that you withdrew it for yeah.
It's still included in their salary.
It's a CPA thing.
Yeah,
There you go.
I do it all the time. Yeah, it's still included in the salary, which does not change regardless. The salary's the salary, no matter what's deducted. Yeah. That's where a lot of people do get confused.
Yes, I can get this to the board of elections. Should have been done last.
Well, you know, we're a little behind on things. We're a little behind on things,
Yeah.
like the rest of the government. They only have any more days. I thought it was 15.
April 16th, good. You just have to go that morning. As of 4:30 today.
Hey, what's up? Hey, you're
I think so. I forget these are on. Yes. Here. Look, I always come prepared. We can't.
I haven't eaten all day.
You can't do that.
Got up at 7. Take it back at lunch. I did eat a salad. I got a salad at lunch. I didn't eat dinner. That's my problem.
We do that. Again.
Yeah, we're still recording.
Believe me.
That's not good. I love to meet her sometime. Never know.
Senior moments.
Always a good time. Of course, I have a little one. I can just, you know, I'm a lady, I can just make up stuff.
Exactly, that's what they do.
That's what we do. I just make it up.
Case on man.
And I think I need to sign the certifications too.
I'll get all of those.
I'll come in tomorrow and sign them.
Give me a little while. We'll come in.
Oh, sure, I probably won't come in to lunch. That's fine, yeah, it's no big deal.
I try to always have snacks. Because I just said I didn't last time.
When they pick up
Needed it the most.
they went to 12, which my schedule changes quite often. Right now, pick up at 12.
Yeah.
By the time we get home and fix up the kids. But then I was home at 5 o'clock, but then when you sit here in the meeting by 8 o'clock, you know, he's at the line at the sticker.
It's about pasture.
It is. It's late. I would have, 8:30.
Well, that's what I said. I said,
John, we have ice cream time at 8:30. We're gonna have to, that's my retirement. To myself.
We'll have to start
So
bringing.
bring
Go to
ice
Yum
cream.
Yum or somewhere and get the ice cream and
We'll
we'll
just put it in the freezer and we'll knock on the table until John.
call a recess. It's ice cream time. It no matter where we are in the meeting.
That's right. We'll knock on the table and say it's 8:30, John, it's 8:30.
Yeah, doing all right. The less I talk to you, the better things are going.
You're not in trouble. That's good.
A lot about it here in the last 5 years. Like, I worked up all 2 o'clock in the morning and get back to bed. I never loved it. Only one time, that was, I think that was.
Let's reconvene.
Wait, awful deep. Fiddle in. Whoa, Jack.
Next item on the agenda, discussion on requesting the Stokesdale Planning Board to set a public hearing to amend the town's permitted use schedule 4-3-1 to only allow for warehouses in the, what is it, SIC, what is that? I can't remember.
Oh, the SIC.
Standard industrial code.
Standard industrial,
Code.
yeah.
4220, which is warehouse, general storage, enclosed, and then 4225, warehouse and self-storage. To only allow those in light industrial or heavy industrial districts, and eliminate the design standard option for the general business and highway business districts. And I guess I put this on the agenda. I've had concerns. We've approved now approximately a little over 9 acres for mini storage on Highway 68. At the last meeting, people in Arbor Run came out in opposition. To me, self-storage, mini storage should go into light industrial or heavy industrial. And we had designated on our long-range plan for that industrial portion of Stokesdale to be along Highway 158. So basically what this will do, it will still be permitted in light industrial and heavy industrial for both of those zoning, but it takes out the provision for design standards. And it's my understanding design standards for warehouses was that the tract had to be 5 acres or less, and there may have been some provisions in there for landscape screening. But if somebody had 10 acres and they wanted, all I gotta do is cut it 2 5-acre tracts, put it 2 different ownerships and come in with 2 5-acre tracts. I just think 9 acres on Highway 68 is enough. And I think if we don't adopt this change, we're gonna be bombarded in the next year or so with a request, which could do a conditional use and say, I'm gonna do mini warehouse, or do a blind where I just want the general business or highway business zoning, and then they come in later with a site plan and they're doing mini storage. My concern is, I just don't think that's an appropriate use beside residential areas, and that's my concern. And I just like to refer this to, it's my understanding it'd have to go to the planning board and have a public hearing because it's a change in our development ordinance.
Correct.
So I would make a motion that we refer that to the, I guess it's still time to put it on the August agenda or July. Could we put it on the July?
It would have to be advertised. And I don't know how,
Yeah, I think it'll be, well, I can't answer all those rules, but,
who files the application,
Dale,
the town?
if we can,
no, they can direct that it be done. You'll just put it at the request of the town.
the
Or
date's the
council.
23rd for the planning board meeting, is that right?
22nd.
22nd.
Cause this
So
is the 8th.
if we can contact the paper tomorrow, we can still advertise on Monday. Monday would be the last day, and we could meet, we could get it on the agenda for July if it passes.
In the News and
We don't,
Record.
we don't qualify even though we mail.
I think that was John's question.
Yeah, so I make a motion that we refer it to planning board for consideration at the July meeting.
Or first available.
Work with Oliver to come, to put the legal ad together, to give me the correct, all the acronyms, all the different information, but.
Or can you
Just
provide
first
that with her?
available. Why don't you just say, make your motion that it be referred to them for their first available. So if we can get it in
Okay.
July, it's fine. And then if not,
That's
it'll be
fine.
August.
We'll do it for the first available.
Yeah.
Okay? So we have a second?
Second.
Darren Hooks was second. Any discussion? Call the question?
Wait a minute, wait. Timmy's like to speak.
So we're just having the planning board look at this or have a public hearing?
And make a recommendation.
And make a recommendation back to us.
At this point. What did can we discuss? Are we into discussion mode at this point?
Oh, yeah.
Quick historical question. 158 was designated as the corridor for these type issues.
For industrial, is that right?
Right, light and heavy industrial. From just beyond the school, I believe, to the town limit, was my understanding.
I think that's right.
Okay. With that being said, you're looking at putting it back on that same area. We had been operating under the 68 corridor, but we made exceptions recently, I believe, to put in what's supposed to be out on the industrial corridor. Is that correct?
Well,
Basically.
when Kevin Coons, the first one beside Betty Hand, he had done a conditional use
Yeah.
general business or highway business zone on that.
Some
He
years
came and
ago.
asked for an amendment to allow permitted, mini storage to be allowed as a permitted use on that. Well, technically, it was allowed with design standards. And then we had the second case where they just came in and he basically said, I'm gonna do mini storage, but he didn't make it that a condition of the zoning. And he just put in a general, I think that was a highway business.
Highway, it was HB.
Highway
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
So what I'm just saying, I don't personally want any more, mini storage along 68 or basically anywhere else in town. I want that in the industrial corridor
As
of the
it-
town of
as it
Stokesdale,
had
as we
been and still
talked about
is.
years ago.
That's
But we'll let
scary.
the planning board, have their input and then,
That's
we-
scary.
Huh?
I said, that's scary. I mean, that's like tell us, saying we don't want any more service stations, we don't want any more car lots, we don't want any nursing homes. I mean, it's no different. I mean, it's scary to me. I mean, I don't mind the planning board looking at it and having a public hearing about it, but it scares the fire out of me.
Okay.
With just that statement, I mean, and I'm sure most people probably agree with it, so
Okay.
it's probably on the right side, so,
We'll see, we'll
Yeah,
we'll let
And I'm
them
in the
start.
middle, literally.
yeah.
They can start the process and then we can finish it up.
And I just
So we have
want
a
to-
motion.
I'm gonna vote to do it, but I hope one of these days I'll put something on there and we'll send it down too.
Okay, we have a motion to refer it to the planning board at their next convenient meeting. I'll call a question. Jim Rigsby?
Aye.
Derek?
Just clarification, the motion matches what's highlighted here.
Yeah.
And you just said it, and the reason I ask is I'm gonna help Dale if I can.
Right.
But
We're just taking the design standards provision out of both of those, warehouse and mini storage.
Are you keeping the P?
Yeah, I'm keeping the Ps in
Are
light
you keeping the
industrial and
P
highway. For both.
warehouse, general storage enclosed for the CP?
I don't think we have CP. I think that's commercial property, like a shopping center zoning classification. I don't think we have any of that in the town of Stokesdale.
But we could.
We could.
If it's there.
What, let me ask you a question, since you're taking questions.
I can't count the 5.
What about, you take somebody highway business or general business, and they need a warehouse? You're not gonna let them have a warehouse? Or you can't, you're not supposed to have outside storage and, some of these, this new stuff and all. And what are they gonna do? I mean, there needs to be some kind of provision. I mean, if you want no mini storage, it's like I said, that scares me, but, I think we might be doing something here with unintended consequences. You get some, a highway business, say we get a, rental company in or something, and, it says no outside storage. Remember, we already lost a rental company in Stokesdale because of that. And then they wanna build, a warehouse, well, then they can't build a warehouse.
What this warehouse provision is, Dollar General has storage in the back of the building. Buy Right has it in the back of their building. They receive inventory and price it and things like that and then stock it. What we're saying is we don't want a warehouse exclusively for mini storage.
Well, you need to say that then, because I'm just telling you, I know how it can be done at the county. I'm not.
No, if you look at the clarification on the standard industrial clarification, it says warehouse, general storage enclosed. And that's all they're gonna do. It's not, you know, highway business, they can have a grocery store, every grocery store's got a stock room, almost every building, the tire stores, everybody's got a stock room. We're not prohibiting that. They just can't have a warehouse per se and no general business.
I would want it to be to where it said that highway business can have a warehouse, because it may be a separate building behind it. And that would be, and the reason it may be that way is because of the standards that you have to. Gary Bowman run through a bunch of this when he did his boat running over in Oak Ridge.
Yeah.
They made him spend a ton of money because it wasn't just a warehouse, it wasn't just a garage. His was a garage. But, you know, a warehouse is cheaper to build. You don't have to do a lot of things that you'd have to do if people were coming in or things like that. So, I mean, you need to be, you know, because when one person goes down to the county to get something done, that's one person against the whole government. One person against the whole government. I mean, this sounds good. I know exactly, you know, where you're coming from. It sounds good, but there can be unintended consequences. And we'll lose. We already lost one business because of them going down to county, and I wish we had, because I'm all the time wanting to rent a tool or something. And if I do, I've got to go to Greensboro, which I don't normally just buy something, but.
Okay, but basically, I'm just asking planning board to review it.
Yeah.
To give us a recommendation. If they want to put some other provisions in there and address those kind of issues, they certainly can, or we can.
Well, I would hope y'all would want them to do that. I mean, what if David Wren decides he needs him a independent little warehouse back behind the buy rock? Now, he may be zoned to where he can do that.
I think it is a zoning issue too.
We move it
Maybe
to
the
there and
spots.
let them work on it.
We'll make sure.
Yeah, spot zoning. We spot zoned all over this place, so I don't even know.
Here's your spot.
Why we bring it up, I mean, spot everywhere. But I'm just saying, you got, you may have that situation, and the planner sees that, it's not here right now, and it doesn't stop somebody from, then they got, you know, it's not easy just to go buy a piece of land and move your business or whatever, especially in Stokesdale. I mean,
They're
it's
gonna
on-
rezone it before they buy it. In
Who's
most
to say
cases,
somebody
unless they
don't,
already
who's to
own
say
it.
somebody that owns property won't want to do something, John?
Well-
Everybody don't buy property. I mean, you know, if somebody's got property and they want to use it, that, you know, you can't use your property, you can't just go buy somebody else's.
Oh, I know, but
You know?
Oliver Bass doesn't have final say, or the
I understand. But a
planning
lot of people
department,
get
we
turned,
have the final, the town council has
a lot of
final
people get
say.
turned around before they ever get to us.
Well, if you wanna hire a professional planner, full-time.
Well, they do the same thing, be the same thing with him, or her, or whoever it was.
Yeah. Now, both of y'all have the opportunity to talk to your planning board members about your concerns when you send it down to them for to review, and then they'll get back to you with their recommendations.
Thanks,
I just
Dan.
don't want them to think that I'm recommending, because I'm gonna vote for sending it down there to them.
But you can tell them any concerns you have or whatever, so that whatever comes back, we'll have included your thoughts and processes.
Is it proper for a town councilman to come to a public meeting and?
Shoot, yeah.
Because I never come to them.
You come as a
because I always
citizen.
thought it was improper. It's not
But-
improper.
Yeah, they're gonna make a recommendation back to you, but
Okay.
if you have input, give it to them.
It-
Jim,
to
you've
clarify
had
which-
discussion, and Jim voted, so you may wanna start your vote back over.
It didn't count.
Okay, I'll call the question again, to refer it to, planning board, at the first available meeting. Jim Rigsby,
Jim Rigsby, aye.
Derek,
Aye.
Jimmy,
Jimmy's aye.
Darren,
Aye.
and I thought we'd already voted. Okay,
That's 10 ayes instead of 5.
Now, you did get 5 that time.
7-2.
6.
2 ayes from Jim.
okay. Okay, establish spending priorities for the $1.1 million water grant. As you know, I've been harping on this for a while. It's my interpretation and Scott Whitaker's, town manager at Summerfield and the people in Oak Ridge, upon conversations with North Carolina Department of State Treasurer, that we either have to have that money spent or we have to have a contract in place by June of next year, or we have to give that money back to the state. And the last thing I want to do is give a state a $1.1 million grant back. So I don't know how you want to do it, if you want to have a special meeting for just the water, But in the capital improvements plan that Hayes and Sawyer presented May 17th, and I hope everybody got a copy of that. If not, we've got some. But they had some short-term improvements. They had medium term from 2030 to 2050, and then some longer term. But I think we need to sit down and go through those and say, hey, we want to do X, X, and X. Fill out the form for the Office of State Budget Management and get that money to the town of Stokesdale. And so I don't know how you want to do it. If you want to, everybody take a look at this and just think of their own priorities, and then get back next month or sometime in the near future and say, hey, I want to put in water line down such and such road, and we'll divvy up that 1.1 million. If we want to go over that, we still got money. It was based on the Water Enterprise Fund. We've got the capital reserve for water for impact fees. So we've got more money than the 1.1, but let's get the ball rolling.
We need to have a water meeting and do that. It's a lot we need to go over. I think we ought to invite Todd and Randy and hear their concerns. Just talking about the fire hydrants being low pressure. Invite them to it. We got to consider, do we have a list of people who want to hook up to the water that's already here? It's almost like we're always thinking about the new developments. And the new developments kind of take care of themselves if they're within range. But, how many people in Stokesdale would like to hook up? This money, there's people here in Stokesdale right now. And if it's people that want to hook up, I think we should be looking at that too.
Well, anybody who wants to hook up, if a water line's in front of their house, if they come in and pay $4,500, they can talk to a plumber and they can be.
Well, I'm talking about if it's not.
Processed.
I'm talking about if it's not. I'm not talking about giving them free water. I'm just talking about, we have some places where people have wanted lines. It's already here in Stokesdale. We're all the time, this is money that's coming to the town. I don't know, I'd like to see some of it possibly go to people that's here now and not just to develop property.
Yeah, well, if you'll look at the capital improvement plan, on about page 30, I think it was, no, let's see, page 32. They did cost estimates for every road in the town of Stokesdale that's not paved, I believe. And so you got $42 million of possibilities. Now, a lot of those have been paid for already by the developers, but you can pick and choose. That's what I'm saying. Let's pick and choose. We can't do it all. We got to do it on the biggest bang for the buck. We have had conversation that our priority was a secondary line down Hall River Road. Well, Hazen and Sawyer had more concerns about changing the line down 158 to Countryside from a 6-inch to an 8-inch, and up Prince Edwards from a 6 to an 8. I guess everybody has an opinion. I still personally would like the idea of a secondary line, but that's the kind of thing we got to talk about, and we can get Hazen Sawyer over here. We can get Todd. I talked to Todd.
I don't think we need Hazen and Sawyer here.
Okay,
Well, I think the biggest priority should be to shore up what we have.
They gave us a $43
That should be the
million.
first thing, shore up what we've got, make sure it's all functional and gonna be functional down the road, and then branch out from there.
I disagree totally with what you said, and I'll tell you why. Not against you,
You
but
talking
why.
about, you talking to me or John?
You.
that's what he said.
The other him.
The sixth guy.
The reason I would not have Hazen and Sawyer here,
You're agreeing with me then?
to not have them here?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No, I'm saying that they must be here without a problem.
You just said the reason I would not want them is.
The reason that I would not want them here would not be what I'm saying, basically. When you said I don't want them here, is that my understanding?
Yeah.
Okay. Why, so you don't want them to
But
be
I fail
part
to
of
see
this?
where you disagree with me at this time.
I'm not, what I'm saying is this, I am not in agreement with Hazen and Sawyer not being here. They are the engineering folks. They are the ones that designed this entire program. Not a single person on this board, not a single person that works in this building has an engineering degree that I know of.
Of course not.
So they can, at some point, be able to answer questions to help us make decisions on our priorities.
Then you don't agree with
Not all
their
the
stuff. I mean, we got the stuff here, don't we? I mean, we spent $80-some thousand.
We do have the stuff, but what's it mean,
I'm talking
Jimmy?
about the initial meeting that we have. We're not gonna make a decision at initial
Exactly,
meeting,
what's
I
it
doubt.
mean?
You know, and we will need them, I'm sure, eventually, but when we're initially where we're looking at what direction we wanna go in.
I don't think it's a big deal. Let's just invite them. If they come, they come. If they don't,
Well, I
they
mean,
don't.
I guess being, I worked hard to get this money 3 years ago.
What money?
This 1 point something was me. 1 point, what was it, 3 back then? 1.1. And the biggest thing that we kind of ran up against was a multi-town organizational platform of meetings consistently on water. It was about almost the better part of a $4 million operation. The issue turned into, let's stop where we are and never do it again, split the towns up, you go your way, we go that way, and the others go that way. And that's why you have one looking at this way. You look at Tanks and the other town. You look at this town down here, co-joining us in a secondary line in case we have an issue up here, as we have had on 158 and spent 2 weeks down there every single day. The people that work behind the scenes in Raleigh, North Carolina, day in and day out for months to get us this money. And I understand where you're coming from. I don't have the knowledge to prioritize and know that that's gonna be the number 1 through the number 5 issue to spend money on. That's what I'm saying.
They ranked their.
They've
I
rated
know
that.
they do, but I still want
They don't need to
them
come here to read their rankings.
It's not a ranking issue, it's a question issue. What do you know, and I'm not, we're talking.
I know that I don't want them here because I want to have just a discussion with us, and I know that.
Okay,
you know,
what's
they
your
gave us
first thing? What's your first thing? And I'm trying to understand, because even if I look at that, I'm still gonna have technical questions before I say yes to 450,000 of that 1 point something.
Of course, this is just a discussion about what we think will be best for the
And
town.
I'm not
The
arguing that.
technical questions come after that.
What do you think's best then? What's your question?
You're asking Derek Foy right
Yeah,
now?
I am at this point.
I guess the first thing I would prioritize is the Boone Landing subdivision. We've talked about, which they've ranked number 1. We've talked about going down South Point and putting a 6-inch pipe down. That'll probably cost $60,000 or $70,000. I think it's a Band-Aid. I don't know if it'll help Boone Landing or not. I personally think the solution to help ease that problem is to go down Ellison in front of Byright, which will probably cost $175,000 or $200,000. It's more expensive. It's longer.
Yeah, well, sure.
It's a better
But
solution.
but I also think it will help. There's the development going on across from the church on Oak Level that they just were there.
Yeah, yeah.
And, that's RS-30, so the line, they're extending that line up Oak Level. And then somehow, some way, there's some zoning of PDR up there, so they're gonna have a lot more houses there. So there's gonna be a line up Oak Level. I think that loop, that Ellison through that neighborhood, I think that's a lot better than a Band-Aid of a 6-inch line.
Yeah, I do.
And they put that in the report.
Yeah. I don't.
So I
Even there to
guess
read
what
me the
I'm,
report.
I guess what I'm kind of looking at, is there a point in time when we would have them come in another meeting, so we have put together the top 5?
Maybe.
And ask them if that's still realistically practical?
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe we decide
That's kind of
What-
what I just said a little while ago.
what is realistic and best for the town. And maybe we work with Hazen and Sawyer on those, or maybe we don't. Hazen and Sawyer served a great purpose to do some top-line, strategic, long-term planning. there are other engineering firms that may be a better fit for Stokesdale if we just want to do a half mile of water, line extension. Hazen and Sawyer is a fantastic, world-renowned multinational
Up and
company.
down the East Coast from Florida.
They are great for Charlotte. Are they great for Stokesdale? I don't know. I bet they've got a ton of stuff to do. Would a smaller outfit that does these exact same things give us more, of a relationship? Hell, it took 3 weeks to get a PowerPoint presentation from Hazen and Sawyer. How long is it going to take to get an engineering study from them?
And that's why I'm asking you, what's your
Yeah,
thought
so that's how I
process?
feel.
Yeah, okay, and that's
We-
fine.
We've got the information, we just gotta, like I said, I think we can go in here and pull out what's gonna shore our system up. And then we can figure out how much money we got left.
Yeah.
Then you guys can fight over it, because I don't care where it goes.
If you know how the
As long as it's in the budget, Jimmy don't care.
Believe it or not, I think we're kind of aligned, how we get there. I don't
Raleigh
know.
may have a question or two down the road after we're gone, but that's a different story.
These are civil engineers we'd work with. I'm not talking about Billy Bob's, Mac shop. These are still
Well, that's
civil
why I was
engineers.
asking what I guess when you said we don't need them, I thought,
Yeah.
why don't we?
Initial
We
meeting.
will
we
at
don't
some
need-
point in time.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, I'm good to go then.
The person we most need is Gene Robertson. He knows the water
He
system
can
better
lay
than any
down that,
engineer, and he can tell
that
you.
700 foot like that and,
Absolutely.
Yep.
And so,
But we don't need,
So can we just go back to the original motion and just
let's just, y'all want to set a time?
Just set a date for August and let's move forward.
Let's
That's-
ask
that's
Dean to
all
come,
I
Let's
want.
ask Todd to come.
I agree.
Andy, if he wants to.
We can have a parade coming into the damn meeting, but let's
Order us
set a
cake
date.
or something.
all right.
take out from Parker's.
Wait a minute, Dale needs to.
You didn't vote on anything on this.
Well, there
We
hadn't
hadn't
been,
voted on
there hadn't been a
anything. We're trying
motion.
to
Yeah,
set a date.
I hope we did.
I don't know what we've done tonight, so much less right now, so.
Yeah, there's no motion yet, so.
Okay.
We're just asking everybody's schedule. Is there a
You're
date
gonna-
everybody
you're gonna
can meet?
schedule a meeting, that's what you're
What
gonna do.
month? We're gonna do it this month, next month?
I'm gonna throw out some
As soon as
dates.
possible.
Remember Wednesdays
I'm in
are out.
2022. Let me get to this year.
I'm gonna be gone tomorrow, so.
I'd like to be gone tomorrow too, flights. So
We can't set it up that
we
far.
keep talking.
How about July 15th or August 5th?
What days are
Thursdays.
those?
Thursdays.
August 5th would work for me. July will not.
Now, are we talking about after hours or during an afternoon like we used to do?
I think we need to do a public 7 o'clock, public hearing. Because if you have people in neighborhoods that are, like you said earlier, that want water, they give them an opportunity to come in here and say, hey, my road wants water,
You want it during the day, so I won't be here, don't you?
August 5th at
Do we
He's
have,
always
do we
here.
have, is there a list, does a list
No,
exist
I
of
haven't
people
seen
who
you
want water and
away
ask for
from the
water?
neighborhood but 5 times in the last 12 months.
Jimmy, the only thing we would have is people signed up originally and paid the $200 fee. We would have that list.
Priscilla
It's okay.
Does that mean
You want to
we
make a
still don't
motion
know?
to have a
Still know
meeting,
people,
water meeting on August the 5th at 7 o'clock?
Yeah, I make a motion to call a special called meeting to discuss the water system on August the
State of the
5th.
water.
Huh?
State of the water.
Okay, on August the 5th, 2021 at 7 PM at
second.
Town Hall. And it would be awesome if the air conditioning was fixed by then.
7.
Yeah, who knows? Okay, we have a motion and a second to have a special called water meeting, August the
Wait a minute,
5th.
wait a minute.
I did. Any discussion? Does that meet everybody's schedule?
Yes.
Then I call the question, Jim?
Jim Rigsby is yes.
Derek?
Derek is yes.
Jim?
August the what?
August 5th,
Okay, I'm pleased.
Thursday, August 5th.
No.
Derek?
Yes,
Darren?
Jimmy and I'll go pick you up.
Okay. So we'll advertise that and get a notice out. Next item, you're talking that takes some time to get stuff back from Hazen and Sawyer. You know, we had the conversation at the last meeting of the two options to run the line down, was it South Point and then Ellisville Road? So-called, or Dale sent Meg Roberts an email and said, you know, can you give us an estimate? Then I talked to Gene, and Gene said, really, if you're gonna put it out for bid, you need to get an engineer drawing of what it is and the specs and things like that, so everybody knows how to bid on it. So we asked her to give us an estimate, how much, you know, just that rough drawing would cost, because, you know, I don't have the authority if it's gonna be 3,000 or 5,000 or whatever it is. And then I followed back up on that last week and told her again. And as far as I know, we still haven't received anything from her. And so, you know, you know, it's hard to say, we want to do Ellisburg Road until we get a set of plans. Gene and them gave us a rough estimate about 159,000 for one. South Point was like 58,000. But I'd rather, that was based on prices of stuff 6 months ago, so it's probably gone up some.
Yeah.
But I'll call Meg again and,
We can certainly call Meg again. I had a conversation with a smaller boutique, where there's two civil engineers there, a firm called Kennerly Engineering and Design.
oh yeah, Sutton Kenner.
I'm sure you've heard of them. I had a good conversation with Nicole Kennerly, it's a husband and wife team. And, you know, so that's another option other than Hazen. Look, Hazen and Sawyer, huge multinational, their customers are the likes of New York's. I mean, we're a fly on an elephant's rear end, you know. So on maybe a smaller boutique firm, we could get quicker turnaround, more customers, better customer service. I'm not even looking at price here. Their price could be the same. I mean, these guys are familiar with Stokesdale. I guess what I'm endorsing more is possibly looking at, we've got to maintain that relationship with Hazen and Sawyer from a long-term strategic standpoint. They bring tremendous value to us from that standpoint. But overseeing the engineering of, you know, a half-mile project, maybe they're not the best fit for that. Maybe they are.
Right.
But I had a great conversation with Kennerly Engineering and Design, and I just said, you know, I'd like for you to meet the guys. So.
Sure. Evans Engineering, there's a bunch of people. We
Yeah.
can just look at some of the water plans we've got and see who the engineer was and get somebody local. I just want to get it done, and I don't want to wait 6 months. And if you call them up 2 or 3 times and they don't respond back.
Yeah.
I'm
And if
looking
you
for
recall,
somebody.
and it was said in the meeting that when we asked about Hall River, I forget the exact question asked, but we're talking about timing of the engineering plans. And I believe something came out about a year. It could take a year. And that flew up red flags to me. And right now, with all, you know, with all the government money, the Biden money going around for towns to do water
My
improvements,
grandkids,
there is going to be a lot of demand on these engineering firms.
I know, and that's why I'm pushing. Let's get this ball rolling.
Yeah, so I don't have anything against Hazen Sawyer, but I think we need to open our eyes to other
Okay.
firms.
Did we vote on the August 5th date? We did, didn't we? Did we vote on the August 5th
Because I
date?
asked the question.
Did we vote on the August 5th date?
Yes.
I
5-0.
How about Coldwater?
We
Can they
need
have
to-
56 homes?
We need to do a proclamation thanking all of our grandkids for all this money that we're spending,
Yeah.
that they're gonna pay for.
It's in the budget.
You might want to thank their grandkids. Yeah.
Yeah, may, well.
Okay.
Thank them all.
Next item, discussion on updating future land use plan. And I don't know who put that on the agenda.
Do we need to vote on on engineering? What's our next, let's talk about our next step, because I think our next step needs to, well, first of all, are we in
water main.
agreement? Let's talk about this as a council. Are we in agreement with doing a water line extension down Ellison Road to
Ellisboro.
connect? Ellisboro, excuse me. Ellisboro Road to connect to the Boone Landing subdivision.
I personally would be.
Check your minutes.
Todd, you want to address that? We did the water test up in
the grant money.
South Point. You could tell us how low the pressures were in
Yeah,
Boone
they
Meadows.
were actually low enough that we called Gene and told him that we felt like, because as I told you before, it's the town's water system, it's not ours. We're just the benefactors of being able to use it if we have a fire or something. But the flow pressures on that and the gallons per minute was low enough that we didn't feel comfortable using it. So we told Gene we would like to, and what we normally do is we put a black bag over it tight, and that means that And we had to be really careful because we didn't want to, have something and one of our mutual aid departments come in and not know the issue and use it. And actually, if you try to take more water out of the system than it'll give you, you can damage pipes and that kind of stuff. So we did not want to do anything to cause any harm to the water system in any way.
And one of the reasons, when a developer deeds that over to us, they have a 1-year warranty. Well, the water, I believe its flow was like 350 gallons a minute in that new section. And Gene went out one time and one of the valves wasn't completely open, but when we tested again, it was 350. Well, minimum, they want us 500. And so we thought, well, it must be they did something wrong on that new section of Boone Meadows. So we went back and Todd and them checked the closest to the entry of Boone Meadows. And they didn't have but 450, so they can't possibly get to 500 if the entry point on their subdivision is 450. And so, and those rates have gone down about 100 gallons per minute over the last year or so, and we don't understand why. It may be just a increased demand, but that's why everybody thinks it's a lot better to go up Ellisburg Road. Gene said, and Todd, I think would probably agree, it makes a lot more sense if we do that. It costs more money, but we're gonna get a heck of a lot better flow.
Well, I'm all for whatever you can increase the gallons per minute, especially with the growth going on, but I think too, and Jimmy may not know, and Derek may not know, and, Mr. Reeves may not know, but we test the hydrants every year, and we actually.
I knew that, sir.
Yeah.
Part of your ISO certification.
But we actually do it twice a year. And we test a certain percentage of them every year so that we get everything on a flow test every 5 years. But every year when we run a maintenance test on them, we go out and check the static pressure on them. And if the static pressure keeps going down, that tells us there could be a problem in the system somewhere, a leak. So that not only helps us, but it helps y'all. Normally what we do is our first call is to Gene. We say, look, Gene, somewhere between this hydrant, especially if we get hydrants back to back and we start getting lower and lower static pressure readings on them, we let them know really quick. Or if we go out, when we train, sometimes we're just hauling some water. We always try to use a dead end hydrant to help y'all get the flow through it, to keep the chlorination, all the things that make the system a little bit better. So we do that stuff, and we see, as Mayor Flint said, we see a lot of times when we start having those drops in an area, the first thing we do is, like I say, it's the town systems that you guys are responsible for. We let y'all know right off the bat, and the decision's made on, do we not use it, or do we use it?
And you're also a point of contact for the town to where if we have a major leak, you hear a lot of times quicker than we do.
Yeah, we actually, have been lucky a couple of times.
158
the lightning
being,
strike
yeah.
on the Saturday night that hit the pipe.
Yep.
It actually hit something metal beside the pipe, and that was one of those things where citizens just called and said, look, I don't think the ground's supposed to be bubbling out here in front of my house. Okay. And sure enough.
Check your neighbor.
It had flowed a 6-inch line, and it actually had run enough that it took the reserve water out of the tank.
That was a Sunday morning during church.
Yeah, that was a Sunday morning about 10 o'clock. So sometimes when there are issues, we do get the first call. And of course, we relay it to Gene. And most of the time, if it's something that obvious, we try to get in touch with one of you, whomever we get in touch with first, and say, look, you may want to let the cavalry know there's a problem. Because normally, our phone starts ringing from people, I don't have any water pressure. I don't have any water at my house. So they're calling us first thing when I don't have any water. So luckily being manned 24/7, if we're not out on a call, we can get the information out to somebody relatively quick.
Okay, well, good. Okay. But you have hydrants that are covered right now because
I don't know if Gene covered those or not, because he was continuing to do some testing. We were flowing just to see maybe if there had been some valves that were cut off, or if it truly was. because of the small line, and as Mayor Flint said, the growth, on the system itself, if it just was not the pressure available up there that needed to be.
Well, yeah. So I think South Point's the Band-Aid and the solution.
Yeah, so like if we want to do Ellisburg Road, we could put out requests for proposals on a couple engineering firms and say, give us just enough that we can price it out and, put it in the bid process.
I mean, I'll be happy to talk to Kenner if you want to talk or somebody
Yeah,
else talk with
I'll
somebody.
call Evans and, get them both to give us a rough estimate of what they think it costs.
Okay.
We're certainly not engineers, but just for instance, and I do know this one took place, when you looped the system on Lester Road, it improved the hydrant flow there, almost 100 gallons a minute on those hydrants, just by taking those two dead ends and looping them. So I'd say it's pretty obvious that where you guys are able to time in, it makes a difference, on that system. We saw it firsthand there on Lester Road when those two dead end lines were packed in.
And it only takes 5 minutes to really make the difference between a put out fire under control and one that's gonna rage at that point. So it is well worth the time.
You
Thanks
guys
a lot,
always
Todd.
get your fire, though.
I'm sorry,
I say you guys always get your fire.
You get an estimate, I'll get an estimate.
Hey, I'm not saying we don't.
Okay,
You're right, and we
you don't get it
plan for
done.
that because you never know what's gonna happen, like Mr. Dale said, and Mayor Flint said, you can plan for this all day long, but it can be something totally different when you get there. So we kind of play with the cards that we're dealt and hope that, it always turns out the best.
Yeah, right, y'all do a great job, so.
okay, next item, update the future land use plan. And I'm not sure who put that on.
I put it on there, John.
Okay.
I recall Oliver saying something in the last meeting that our land use plan, 160D requires it to be updated at some certain interval and that we were past due on having our future land use plan updated. So wanted to discuss, how we go forward with doing that. I think there was a committee. I mean, you were on the committee, right?
Yes.
So, but there wasn't, the planning board didn't do it. It was a committee?
We
Or
made
no?
a committee and we met every week or something like that for a year, I don't know how long. And we basically came up with, like industrial down 158, we were trying to protect town core and keep some of the businesses there. We had limited commercial at 68, but obviously that's outdated and we do need to update it. I would say we get a committee of people who are knowledgeable about development and trends and statistics and all that. And get them to do a study and then send it to the planning board. They can start with the old one. I think the old one's probably 15 years old.
Yeah, it was written probably with a typewriter. So, I mean, I don't know exactly the date on it. But I think that's a good idea. One concern I have, and Tom and I discussed it this morning, you know what I'm gonna say, so help me, go ahead with the, maybe not. But doesn't the planning board, are they responsible, do they need to be the committee, or are they?
No.
Okay.
You can appoint a committee to review it. Ultimately, some planning board members should probably be on that committee, and then ultimately they would report to the planning board, and that's where the process, that'd be the second step. They'll have a public hearing on it, and it would be just like the first time it was originally passed. And then they make a recommendation as it comes up to you.
Okay. Well, I think the committee members need to be a good cross-section of the town, a good representation from, all, different demographics and all that. I think definitely having knowledge of the ordinances and the way that, development is a plus. But, I'm not dead set, super excited that we have to get this done, but it sounds like by law, it needs to. So, and it probably needs to be revisited.
Yeah, I'd recommend that what you do is give it some thought now that you brought it up, and then all of you put together some names of people that you might want to see on that committee and bring that back to another meeting and submit, and then y'all can make nominations or recommendations and appoint who you're gonna appoint to that committee.
Okay.
And then you authorize them to
All right.
start that review.
Okay, we do that.
All right, well, so that we have deliverables in a follow-up, I make a motion that council brings names to the August town council meeting as potential members of a committee to update the future land use plan.
I'll second that. Any discussion?
All right, what we're gonna do, vote on it, or
Vote on
we
it,
could
yes.
all, how many we gonna do and all that?
We just bring names to the meeting next week. Okay.
You
call
would
it-
decide at that time how many people you're gonna put on there, and then you fill those slots.
We would produce the committee at the
Yeah,
next meeting.
exactly.
And call them and ask them, are they willing to serve? Don't,
Yeah.
waste our time.
Absolutely.
Do you guys, I just want to point out, I think we need to include some of the developers in on that committee. because,
Absolutely.
I mean, they're the most-
Cross-section.
They're the most affected.
Okay. We have a motion and a second
Get Wild Bill Greco on that thing.
Yeah, get Bill Greco.
to come back with names for the updated future land use plan at the August meeting. We'll call a question. Jim?
Jim Rigsby's aye.
Derek?
Derek's eye.
Jimmy?
Jimmy's aye.
Derek?
Aye.
And I. Okay, next item, planning board meeting, Thursday, June the 22nd at 7 PM. Council meeting Thursday, August 12th at 7 PM. We didn't have anything in here on the comments from the floor. Does anyone want to speak? Okay, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
But you have about comments?
Yeah,
Because he had, I know,
Oh, I'm sorry.
it's okay, and I know the room's hot, and I'll keep it brief, I'll try. I didn't want to speak while Mr. Crawford was talking, it's kind of their time, but, how did Hall River, and I'm looking to you three guys, because y'all were here, back in the day, Hall River on the Dawn Acre side was just a gravel road. Do y'all remember that? I remember I was in the mid-90s.
I remember when didn't have gravel on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you know what the process was, how it got paved? Like, was that driven by this town, or was it on a list? No.
You know, some of the streets in Stokesdale weren't paved. Vaughn Street, I remember Vaughn Street wasn't paved, McCoy Road, they used to come in with oil trucks and put oil down on it, on the roads. I mean, I'm talking about just, some streets back in Stokesdale, in downtown was like it back.
Not the dust down.
Todd, wasn't it that dirt road back there where y'all live?
Still is.
Yeah.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah.
it still is?
Yeah, sure.
What
is.
happened, Justin Powell made a list of all the unpaved roads in town of Stokesdale, and there were quite a few. And Doug Gallion was on the, transportation, I don't know what his title was. But they met with him, and they had a list of maybe 20-some roads in Guilford County total that weren't paved. He got some special money from the state DOT or General Assembly. I'm not sure how it was. I forgot what it was. It wasn't power bill money. But anyway, then they came back to the Stokesdale and they said, what's your priority? And they did 3 or 4 a year. So they went to somebody, he was a board member of the DOT and helped. There are not that many in town of Stokesdale.
Yeah, and to be fair, y'all know that I do live over there too, so I do see what Mr. Crawford's talking about, and I don't know how the road is not, but anyway.
Well, sometimes.
I think that the definite pathway is get in touch with the DOT engineer.
Yeah.
Because he's the one that either makes the list, compiles the list, approves the list, or ranks the list. And through recommendations from, obviously from other people that he doesn't, So I think that's where you start at.
Yep.
Your question.
Bobby Norris, I'll
Yeah.
call him tomorrow.
Yep.
But, speed control is not just getting another road paved. There are other, and I'm not familiar with the roads, but what options are available? Because he's worried about the cars flying down the road. And the children, there are other ways to control speed.
It is.
Well,
What I think he's saying is that one road, Bordello or whatever.
Yeah.
it was. The people are not going on that dirt road, but they
Right.
don't want to be on that, so they're going through the interior streets of their subdivision, and that's where they're speeding.
Which is not-
You can put some things in that subdivision to help control that.
What,
Yeah, but
Tom,
the speed limit in, there, anything that's not posted in
Spikes?
town of Stokesdale.
No,
is
you can put a
30.
stop sign.
It's gonna take,
Yeah, you
But
put a stop
We've gone to
sign.
the sheriff's department,
Yeah.
we've gone to the state patrol.
well, look, it's gonna
They
be,
said they can't do anything about
you know, it's a quick fix for that, and I guess y'all would have to approve that through the homeowners association. I'll get them to come in and put speed bumps. They did it over there at that, over
If
at
it's a
Long.
state-maintained road, then the
Coxwell.
homeowners won't have any authority.
Terrace,
Cotswold,
Cotswold,
yeah.
The
they
state
put those
will
big
have to do
speed
that.
bumps in there and slowed those people down.
City.
it.
That could be done pretty quick.
Would be great.
You know, that could be done pretty quick and slow it down.
They'd come down
Just
to the
mention it
red
to 'em.
light and
We'll
crash.
find out with Bobby Norris tomorrow.
I mean, just mention it.
Any other discussion for
Quick, you know, for a
council?
quick fix.
We technically are.
Till they can possibly pay.
I'm adjourned, I got to go.
Okay, thanks.
Go Wolf back.
Par,
We done?
Hills.
We adjourned.
you notice there was immediate response, really, nobody had to think about it?
Well,
I said it,
Comes-
you
I know it
couldn't hear
just
me.
comes out.
A little bit.
Man, I got a flight out at 9 o'clock. We had to unpack.
AM?
To adjourn.
Because otherwise you
and
missed
vote, we're still in.
I second it, and I.
tomorrow morning.
Okay, all those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye. Aye.
Rigsby,
Eric, you second that?
It's 5-1.
Jim, just say
five,
He did.
okay,
I
good.
heard it.
Twice.
5-0. Who
Yeah.
said 5-1?
I'll call you in the morning to figure out the wording.
Look, John's losing.
Public hearing.
Well, he's shrinking.
I think I know.
He was 5-2 earlier tonight.
Get it in the paper. All right, John.
Oh, man.
Good meeting.
Get 8 conversations you don't think you already know you're at.
I guess he's gonna take your ball.
To do it tomorrow.